Chapter 3365. Charging for 8 stars. Zixing is so lucky to have obtained the inheritance of the undying bird. No wonder he's stronger than an ordinary late-stage Skyreach master. Jingshan frowned slightly as she watched Crepe Myrtle Star disappear in an instant. Crepe Myrtle Star's last escape technique was too fast. It should be the most powerful escape technique in the inheritance of the undying bird. Jingshan had completely lost track of Crepe Myrtle Star and could not find him at all. Forget it, Zixing has escaped. It won't affect my plan at all. As long as Long Wen is left behind, it's the greatest success. Jingshan sneered as she looked at the spirit array and the blood mist that was constantly swirling around it. Within the blood mist, Zhuo Wen was firmly trapped. Jingshan was very confident that once Long Wen was entangled by the blood mist, he would die without a doubt. At that time, she would be the one who would benefit the most, and everything that belonged to Pangu would be hers. Bang bang bang! In the blood fog, the mysterious light of creation around Zhuowen was constantly surging, forming layers of scale-like barriers to resist the invasion of the surrounding blood fog. However, the power of the blood mist was just too terrifying. The mysterious light of creation that revolved around Zhuo Wen constantly swayed and became somewhat illusory. Zhuowen knew that the mysterious light of creation would not last for long. At this moment, Zhuowen's face was very ugly. He did not expect Jingshan to deceive him. The teleportation formation was just a cover to lure him into a trap. However, Zhuowen could not figure out whether Jingshan's words about the place where Pangu had fallen were true or whether Jingshan had been deceiving him from the beginning. Bang! Just as Zhuowen was lost in thought, the mysterious light of creation around him collapsed into countless light spots. The terrifying blood fog, which carried a strong smell of blood, suddenly drilled into Zhuowen's limbs and meridians. It seemed as if it intended to penetrate Zhuowen's entire body. Zhuowen's eyes were solemn as he began to circulate the energy around his body to resist the terrifying blood mist that was invading his surroundings. Unfortunately, his actions were completely futile. This blood fog was like looking at flowers in the fog. It was very illusory, and he could not destroy it at all. Every time he punched out, the blood mist in front of him would scatter like gravel, and then quickly enter Zhuowen's body through his acupoints, entering his body. When the blood mist entered Zhuowen's body, Zhuowen felt that his blood was greatly affected. His blood was no longer flowing smoothly, and the energy of the blood mist began to corrode his flesh, bones, and organs. Damn it, what the hell is this? It's actually corroding my flesh and blood. Zhuowen's forehead was covered in cold sweat as he muttered to himself in disbelief. This blood mist gave him the illusion that he was hitting water, and there was no way for him to borrow strength from. This made Zhuowen feel very helpless. Zhuowen used Gomang's power to rapidly heal his corroded flesh and blood. However, as more and more of the blood mist entered his body, even Gomang's power began to gradually weaken. As he used Gomang's power to resist the corrosion of the blood mist, Zhuowen used various methods in an attempt to break through the blood mist around him. Zhuowen even used trump cards like the Hoi Divine Arrow and the Yama Demon Portrait, but they all failed in the end. Although he managed to break through most of the blood mist, he was blocked by the blood mist in the end. All his efforts were for naught. This caused Zhuo Wen's expression to become extremely grave. He knew that with his current strength, he was still somewhat lacking in breaking through the blood mist. Damn it, I can't continue like this. I'll definitely be toyed with to death by this blood mist. Zhuowen's expression was ugly. He knew very well that as more and more blood mist entered his body's recovery speed would definitely be surpassed by the speed of corrosion. When that time came, his body would be corroded beyond recognition, and that would also be the time of his death. With my current strength, it's still a little difficult to break through this blood mist barrier. However, if I can directly break through, with the extraordinary power of the 8-star Pangu sacred body, it should be possible to break through the surrounding blood mist barrier. Zhuowen's eyes flickered. He knew that at present, this was his only way. He could only break through. He was certain that he could break through the surrounding blood mist barrier. However, according to the current speed of the blood mist invading his body, Zhuowen knew that he would not be able to hold on for 3 days. He did not know if he could successfully break through after fusing with the ancestral sorcerer Ji Yu within these 3 days. Although he was only half a step away from 8-star, this distance was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Let's go all out, I can only try. Zhuowen's eyes were filled with determination. He took out the Rushu Jiu insect and fused it into his body, ignoring the Rushu Jiu insect's struggle. The moment the Rushu Jiu insect fused into his body, Zhuowen fully activated the energy of the Pangu sacred body and began to rapidly absorb the Rushu Jiu insect's energy. A cool feeling spread throughout Zhuowen's body, causing Zhuowen to look up to the sky and roar. That feeling filled his body and began to transform his Pangu sacred body. Blazing crystal light surged and erupted from Zhuowen's body. He was like a supreme Buddha, holy and flawless. The energy of the Rushu Jiu insect was so abundant that it began to shake Zhuowen's realm. However, when Zhuowen gathered his strength and began to break through the realm, he always felt that there was a thick barrier in front of him, preventing him from going further. Zhuowen knew that this was a necessary obstacle to break through to 8-star. He did not think too much about it. Instead, he began to constantly refine the energy of the Rushu Jiu insect. He knew that as long as he accumulated a certain amount of energy, he would naturally be able to break through the barrier of the realm and smoothly advance. Moreover, just in case, Zhuowen prepared the remaining Xianming Jiu insect and Chongliang Jiu insect. If he still could not break through the barrier of the realm after refining the Rushu Jiu insect, he would immediately fuse the two Jiu insects into his body. In the past 2 days, the energy of the blood mist in Zhuowen's body became more and more terrifying. Moreover, the blood mist continued to pour into his body from the outside. Zhuowen's 5 viscera and 6 bowels had been completely corroded. Although Zhuowen looked unscathed, his internal organs were almost completely corroded. This was because Zhuowen had the Pangu sacred body. If other cultivators were surrounded by this terrifying blood mist, they would definitely die within 2 hours. Break for me! Zhuowen roared. He had finally completely refined the energy of the Rushu Jiu insect and began to break through to the 8-star realm. Boom! 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 Zhuowen's body resounded with a terrifying explosion like the 9 heavens' profound thunder. A terrifying aura swept out and dispersed the surrounding blood mist. Puff! Zhuowen suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura became extremely weak. At the same time, the blood mist that had been dispersed quickly flowed back into Zhuowen's body and began to corrode Zhuowen's flesh, blood, and bones. This time, Zhuowen failed to break through the realm. It was too difficult to break through to the 8-star realm. Zhuowen was half a step to the 8-star realm and had absorbed all the energy of an ancestral wizard Jiu insect. However, he still failed. Zhuowen made a prompt decision and immediately fused the Xianming Jiu insect and Chongliang Jiu insect into his body. He knew that there was not much time left for him. Chapter 3366.tob Reborn. After Chongliang and Xianming poisonous insects entered Zhuowen's body, Zhuowen's pale face suddenly became a little rosy, and his weak aura also became a little stronger. Another day passed, and Zhuowen's flesh and blood had been completely corroded. The skin on the surface had long festered, and only a skeleton was left. Moreover, the skeleton also began to gradually disappear under the cover of the blood mist. However, Zhuowen's head was intact, and his divine soul had not been destroyed. When all the flesh and bones below his head had melted, Zhuowen suddenly opened his eyes and let out a long howl. Along with the howl, a magnificent and terrifying aura burst out from Zhuowen's body. This aura was so terrifying that it was much more terrifying than Zhuowen's before. It was as if a qualitative change had occurred. Below Zhuowen's head, the flesh and bones that had melted began to gradually recover. In the end, Zhuowen's complete body was completely restored. Zhuowen stood up, and his eyes flashed. He laughed and said, "Finally, I have broken through. I have finally broken through to the 8-star Pangu sacred body." Zhuowen had broken through to the 8-star Pangu sacred body, and the aura in his body was still soaring. This was because the energy provided by Chongliang and Xianming poisonous insects was too strong, and a small part of it still remained in Zhuowen's body. Zhuowen suddenly punched out, and the surrounding blood mist, which was difficult to deal with, was swept up in waves. Some of the blood mist even directly collapsed. Moreover, Zhuowen's casual punch contained the energy fluctuations of Qiong Liang, Xianming, and Yu Shou. These three energies were the power of thunder, the power of rain, and the power of gold. Of course, in addition to these three energies, Zhuowen's attack also contained the power of other ancestral sorcery poisonous insects that had integrated into his body, such as Zhurong's power of fire and Gonggong's power of water. Zhuowen's eyes were full of light. He knew that with the power of his 8-star Pangu sacred body, he could shatter the bloody mist around him. However, he did not do so. He sat down cross-legged again. He planned to absorb all the remaining energy of the GU in his body. He planned to continue to break through the realm and directly upgrade his Pangu sacred body from the 8-star early stage to the middle stage. He had used 3 ancestral sorcerer GU worms. 1 ancestral sorcerer GU worm was already very rare, let alone 3. Naturally, he was unwilling to waste the remaining ancestral sorcerer GU worm's energy. The surrounding blood mist was no longer able to affect Zhuowen. Any blood mist that got close to Zhuowen was completely suppressed by the powerful aura of his physical body, not daring to move at all. Another day passed and it was also the 9th day since they entered the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond. Jing Shan sat cross-legged beside the magic array and looked at the spherical blood mist floating above the magic array. She frowned. 4 days have passed and Long Wen is still alive. Isn't he too tenacious? Jing Shan muttered to herself. She knew how terrifying the blood mist was. Even she could not last a day if she was wrapped in the blood mist. However, Long Wen was wrapped in the blood mist. It had been 4 days, but the blood mist had not dissipated. This made Jing Shan feel a little uneasy. Just when Jing Shan was in a daze, the blood mist suddenly exploded. A terrifying aura, like gravity being magnified countless times, acted on the entire underground grotto. Jing Shan snorted. The moment she came into contact with the aura, she retreated and her face turned extremely pale. When Jing Shan raised her head to look at the place where the blood mist dissipated, she saw an indomitable figure. She was no stranger to this figure because this figure was actually Long Wen, who she thought would die. Long Wen? How is this possible? You didn't die in the bloodthirsty ghost mist. This is impossible. Jing Shan's beautiful eyes widened as she shouted in disbelief. Zhuowen looked down at Jing Shan with cold eyes and said indifferently, "What's impossible? You, on the other hand, actually dared to scheme against me. You're really something." Jing Shan's eyes turned gloomy. She quickly retreated. However, the moment she retreated, she felt a pain in her neck. Zhuowen had actually grabbed her neck. She mustered all the energy in her body and tried to break free from Zhuowen's grip. However, she realized that all her efforts were in vain. She could not break free at all. She was now like a doll in Zhuowen's hand and had completely lost her freedom. Only then did Jing Shan notice that the aura on Zhuowen's body had become so powerful that it was actually suppressing her. You actually broke through in the bloodthirsty ghost mist." Jing Shan thought of something and could not help but shout. "Thanks to you, I did indeed break through in that bullshit blood mist," Zhuowen said coldly as he threw Jing Shan to the ground. At the same time, he pointed his sword finger with his right hand and a ray of brilliance swept out and entered Jing Shan's body. Jing Shan screamed as her body went limp on the ground. She looked at Zhuowen with resentment and screamed, "Long Wen, you actually dared to cripple me? You conspired against me. I'm already being merciful by not killing you." Zhuowen's eyes were indifferent as he continued, "Tell me, why do you want to harm me?" Jing Shan was in a daze as she collapsed on the ground. She turned a deaf ear to Zhuowen's question. Zhuowen frowned slightly and said, "Don't force me to search your soul." Jing Shan still looked confused as if she did not hear Zhuowen's words at all. Her cultivation was crippled and her future was bleak. She had nothing left to live for. Zhuowen shook his head. His right hand turned into a claw and pressed on Jing Shan's head as he began to search her soul. After Zhuowen withdrew his hand, he threw Jing Shan into the teleportation array. The blood mist that had been dispersed by Zhuowen was like a big mouth that swallowed Jing Shan. Jing Shan let out a blood-curdling screech before she went completely silent. Zhuowen looked at the wriggling blood mist on the array. His face did not look good. Through Jing Shan's memories, Zhuoan knew that this array was indeed a teleportation array that led to a place related to Pangu. However, in order to activate this teleportation array, the life of a cultivator who had obtained a part of Pangu's inheritance must be sacrificed. After the life of the cultivator who had obtained Pangu's inheritance was sacrificed, it would form a blood-red teleportation card. Chapter 3367. The Hunchwoman caught the blood-red token falling from the sky. His divine thought fell on the token and he was pleasantly surprised to find that he had indeed found a part of Pangu's inheritance in the token. He knew that the inheritance should be the part of Jingshan's inheritance. However, the inheritance that Jingshan had obtained was too little. It was less than 1/10 of the inheritance that Zhuoan had obtained. Moreover, the information about Pangu's inheritance that Jingshan had obtained was very lacking. Even the cultivation method of Pangu's sacred body was incomplete. However, the inheritance shown in the blood-red token was of great help to Zhuowen. It was a great supplement to the inheritance of Pangu in his body. It gave Zhuowen a more intuitive understanding of Pangu's power and a deeper understanding of the cultivation method of Pangu's sacred body. At the same time, Zhuowen also found that the blood-red token contained an extremely profound teleportation power. He believed that as long as he activated the token with his divine thought, the teleportation power would immediately bring him to the other side of the token. Although he did not know where the other side of the teleportation would be, it was definitely a place related to Pangu. It would be best if it was the place where Pangu had fallen so that he could obtain the remaining inheritance of Pangu. Zhuowen did not immediately use the teleportation power in the token. He knew very well that the teleportation power would definitely be a life-saving measure at a critical moment. He had offended many people in the sorcerer tribe. With this token, his life would definitely be safe. Moreover, from Jingshan's memory, he knew that Crepestar Sovereign had been seriously injured by Jingshan's sneak attack. Zhuowen was somewhat worried about Crepestar Sovereign's safety. The energy that Jingshan had injected into Crepestar Sovereign's body was not simple. It was extremely powerful and was one of Jingshan's trump cards. It was something that she had obtained from Pangu's inheritance. Although Crepestar Sovereign had obtained the immortal bird's inheritance and was extremely extraordinary, he knew that it would be difficult for him to resist the erosion of that energy. Thinking of this, Zhuowen sent a message to Crepestar Sovereign, asking for his location. However, after a long time, Crepestar Sovereign did not reply. This made Zhuowen feel a sense of foreboding. In another day, the space of the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond will expel everyone here. I must find Brother Crepestar Sovereign within a day. Zhuowen frowned slightly as he left the underground grotto. His powerful divine sense began to sweep out, searching the area on a large scale. Soon, Zhuowen arrived at the valley where the baptismal pool. He discovered 4 figures in the valley. They were Tu Qian from the Moonwolf clan, Wu Qiutong from the Nine-tailed Fox clan, Xiong Gui from the Giant Turtle clan, and Shou Kong from the Spacetime Beast clan. Zhuowen's divine sense swept over without restraint, and it naturally alarmed the 4 foreign race geniuses who were sitting cross-legged and cultivating. Translation. Com translation. 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 Li translation. 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 Zhuowen Star Sovereign. He landed in the valley, looked at the 4 foreign race geniuses, and asked calmly, "Brother Long, didn't Brother Crepestar Sovereign leave with you? Did something happen?" Tu Qian of the Moonwolf clan cupped his fists and asked politely. Zhuowen Star Sovereign's eyes were cold. He reached out with his right hand, grabbed Tu Qian's neck, and lifted him up. "Brother Tu Qian, you should know something, right? You'd better tell me the truth. Otherwise, I don't mind having another corpse in my hand," Zhuowen Star Sovereign said coldly. When Tu Qian was talking to him, Zhuowen Star Sovereign could clearly see a strange light flashing in Tu Qian's eyes. Tu Qian wasn't the only one. The other 3 foreign race geniuses didn't dare to look him in the eye. He knew that the 4 of them might know the whereabouts of Crepe Myrtle Star Monarch, but they didn't want to tell him. Tu Qian's pupils shrank. He kept struggling in Zhuoan Star Sovereign's hands, but all his efforts were in vain. Tu Qian was scared. He found that Long Wen's strength seemed to be stronger than a few days ago. He was pinched in his hand with a flip of his hand. Even moving was a luxury. Even a master of the late realm of Tongtian realm might not be able to do this. Brother Long, don't be impulsive. I'll tell you the truth. I just hope you don't kill a good person, Tu Qian hurriedly said. Cut the crap. Tell me what you know, Zhuoan Star Sovereign said impatiently. Tu Qian did not dare to hide anything. He told Long Wen everything he knew. It turned out that after Crepe Star Sovereign was seriously injured by Jing Shan, he left the underground grotto and came to this valley. In this ancestral sorcerer's magical pond, only this valley had the richest heavenly energy. If Crepe Star Sovereign wanted to recover quickly, this valley was the best choice. When Crepe Star Sovereign came to the valley with serious injuries, Tu Qian and the others were surprised. They were all guessing who could cause such serious injuries to an expert like Crepe Star Sovereign. However, they also understood that Crepe Star Sovereign's cultivation was much higher than theirs, so they did not disturb him. Instead, they sat not far away and minded their own business. In this way, 3 days passed. Crepe Star Sovereign's condition was indeed worsening. His aura also became weaker than 3 days ago. It seemed that there was a powerful energy in Crepe Star Sovereign's body that was suppressing him. Although Crepe Star Sovereign's condition was not very good, Tu Qian and the others were still very afraid and did not act rashly. It was at this time that Wu Xingyuan returned to the valley. When he saw Crepe Star Sovereign in a very bad condition, he immediately wanted to kill him. Crepe Star Sovereign naturally could not sit still and wait for death. He made a prompt decision to escape from the valley. Wu Xingyuan followed closely behind and began to pursue Crepe Star Sovereign. Zhuoan threw Tu Qian to the ground and asked coldly, which direction did they escape in? Tu Qian's face was pale. This time, he did not dare disobey Zhuoan and hurriedly pointed in a direction. Zhuoan was very decisive. He took out the spacetime roulette and began to chase in the direction Tu Qian pointed in. He was a little anxious. He knew very well that after Crepe Star Sovereign was invaded by that strange energy, his strength would decline with the passage of time. He would definitely not be a match for Wu Xingyuan. This was because he could tell from Tu Qian's words that Wu Xingyuan's injuries seemed to be healed. Wu Xingyuan probably had an extremely high-grade healing medicine on him. Otherwise, it would be impossible for his heavily injured body to recover to its peak state in just a few days. At the thought of this, Zhuoan felt a little irritated. He was very worried about Crepe Star Sovereign's condition. He could not help but increase his speed to an extremely terrifying level. He used all his strength. In a space quite far away from Zhuoan, Crepe Star Sovereign was fleeing in a rather sorry state. His face was pale and bloodless, his chest was dripping with blood, and his limbs and bones were badly damaged. Not far behind Crepe Star Sovereign, a figure with an aura as vast as the sea was rapidly chasing after him. This was a young man with a handsome face. His shoulder-length hair floated in the air like steel needles, and his body emitted a blazing light. He was like a rapidly moving blazing sun, scorching and bright as he hovered in the sky. He was very extraordinary. This young man was the #1 genius of the sorcerer race, Wu Xingyuan. Wu Xingyuan's eyes were cold as he looked at Crepe Star Sovereign, who was constantly fleeing in front of him. He sneered and said, "Purple Star, you also have a day like this. To be heavily injured by someone, how rare." Chapter 3368 IN Advance. Wu Xingyuan was very confident. At the same time, he hated Zi Xing and Long Wen to the point his teeth itched. He wished for nothing more than to pull out their tendons, flay their bones, and tear their bodies into pieces. Because of these two people, he was seriously injured and almost dead. In order to quickly recover, he swallowed the only healing panacea he had. He had accidentally obtained that healing panacea from a ruin. It was extremely precious and could quickly heal his injuries when he was on the verge of death. It could be said that it was his second life. Originally, he had planned to use this healing panacea in a grand battle in the future to make the best use of it. However, he had never expected that he would use it in a place like the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond. Moreover, he had not soaked in the baptismal pool for long, and his strength had even regressed. It was really a loss for him to use this healing panacea. How could Wu Xingyuan not be angry? Zixing, after I kill you, I will go and settle the score with Long Wen. That guy is sinister and cunning. If I fight him head-on, I will definitely beat him to death. Wu Xingyuan recalled that he had been severely injured by Zhuowen's arrow, and his face turned ugly. He had lost that battle unjustly. He had been entangled by a late-stage transcending heaven lord like Zixing Jun and had become Long Wen's living target. It had been a very humiliating battle. At the same time, Wu Xingyuan was very afraid of Zhuowen's Huyi Divine Arrow. He did not expect that Huyi Divine Arrow would be so powerful that it could seriously injure him with one arrow. If he met Long Wen again, he would definitely not give him the chance to shoot Huyi Divine Arrow. He would kill Long Wen as soon as he met him. Thinking of this, Wu Xingyuan made up his mind and slammed his palm across the air. Zixing Jun could not dodge in time and was hit by the palm. He vomited blood and fell. However, Zixing Jun was very agile. The moment he fell, his whole body was covered in black flames. With a whoosh, he escaped into the depths of the ground and continued to escape. Wu Xingyuan snorted coldly, stomped his right foot, and chased after him. At the same time, Wu Xingyuan's aura had completely locked onto Zixing Jun. He kept attacking, causing Zixing Jun's injuries to worsen. Crepe Myrtle Star Sovereign's aura grew weaker and weaker. His gaze was gloomy. He never thought that things would come to this. It was all his fault for being too careless and getting ambushed by Jing Shan. I wonder how Brother Zhuo is doing. Myrtle Star Sovereign felt a little guilty. Back then, he had attempted to blast the blood mist, but even his full strength strike had failed. Later on, he was ambushed by Jing Shan and had no choice but to escape from the underground grotto. Until now, he still did not know how Zhuowen was doing. Crepe Myrtle Star Sovereign, you can't even protect yourself, yet you're still thinking about the safety of others. You're really courting death. Just as Crepe Myrtle Star was thinking about Zhuowen in a daze, Wu Xingyuan had already arrived below him and kicked him in the chest. Poochie. Crepe Myrtle Star Sovereign only had time to put his hands in front of his chest. The kick was so powerful that it directly broke his hands. He spat out blood and was sent flying upside down. He broke through the soil and floated in the air like a parabola. Wu Xingyuan suddenly broke out of the ground and rushed to Crepe Myrtle Star Sovereign's side. He held the hammer with both hands. Crepe Myrtle Star Sovereign fell to the ground like a meteor. Wu Xingyuan landed on the ground and stomped hard on Crepe Myrtle Star Monarch's chest, making it impossible for him to move. Myrtle Star, to think that you would have such a day. You're dead. Wu Xingyuan laughed. Just as Wu Xingyuan was about to kill Crepe Myrtle Star Sovereign, the surrounding space suddenly began to distort. A terrifying pushing force came from all directions, as if it was repelling Wu Xingyuan and Crepe Myrtle Star Sovereign. Hey! The world of the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond is repelling me. There should still be a day left. Is it ending a day early? Wu Xingyuan frowned slightly and muttered to himself. He was very surprised. You're lucky. I won't kill you first. I'll imprison you. After leaving the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond, Long Wen will naturally come out. When that time comes, I'll personally step on him and send the two of you to hell. Wu Xingyuan sneered. He opened his right hand and a powerful black energy swept out. It turned into a rope and tied Wu Xingyuan up like a dumpling. Crepe Myrtle Star Sovereign had already lost his ability to fight. He could only let Wu Xingyuan do what he wanted. The pushing force in the surrounding space grew stronger. Wu Xingyuan carried Crepe Myrtle Star Sovereign and did not resist the pushing force. He began to leave the space. Tu Qian and the others in the valley also felt the pushing force that suddenly appeared. They also knew that their time in this world was up. They were being repelled. Zhuowen, who was frantically searching for Crepe Myrtle Star Sovereign, also felt the powerful repelling force. His face turned ugly. He took a deep breath and relaxed his body. He knew very well that as long as he left this space, he would naturally meet Crepe Myrtle Star Sovereign. What he was worried about now was whether Crepe Myrtle Star Sovereign had fallen. If he did, he was afraid that he would not be able to return. However, no matter what the result was, Zhuoan had already sentenced Wu Xingyuan to death. There was no doubt that he would kill Wu Xingyuan. Hey! That's Wu Xingyuan. The moment Zhuoan relaxed his body, he saw a figure in the light in front of him. That figure was carrying a figure. The figure was very familiar. It was the number 1 genius of the sorcerer tribe, Wu Xingyuan. The moment Zhuoan saw Wu Xingyuan, he took a step forward and chased after the figure with the help of the pushing force. At this moment, a huge crack appeared in the sky above the guarded land. It was the entrance to the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond. Corpse Yinmarsh and the others looked at Wu Wuxian strangely. It had only been 9 days since Wu Xingyuan and the others entered the guarded land. Wu Wuxian had actually reopened the entrance to the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond. Was he planning to teleport Wu Xingyuan and the others out in advance? Grand Priestess, there's still 1 more day to the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond. What do you mean by this? Feng Leluor frowned and asked. I have an ominous feeling. There's something wrong with the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond. I have to open it and take a look. Wu Wuxian's face turned ugly. In fact, a few days ago, she felt that the seal she had placed on the surface of the 3 ancestral sorcerers' corpses in the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond seemed to have lost connection. This shocked her. She had personally placed the seal and spent many years on it. Logically speaking, no one should have been able to break it. However, she could not feel the aura of the seal. It was obvious that someone had broken it. If it was not for the space restriction of the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond, she would have opened it a few days ago. Chapter 3369. Exploding Wu Xingyuan within the space of the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond, the repulsive force became more and more terrifying. In the distance, a blazing white light appeared. Looking carefully, at the end of the blazing white light, there was a deep and dark black hole. The pitch-black hole was like a bottomless mouth that seemed to be able to swallow all matter. Wu Xingyuan carried the half-dead Crepe Myrtle Star and looked at the black hole calmly. He knew that the black hole was the exit of the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond. Although the black hole was close, it was actually at the end of the space. He had to borrow the repulsive force of the space to get close to the black hole. Brother Xingyuan. Xingyuan. Suddenly, 2 voices came from the side. Wu Xingyuan turned around and saw the Moon Wolf clan's genius Tu Qian and the Nine-tailed Fox clan's genius Wu Qiutong approaching him from the right. The 2 of them were also being pushed away by the repulsive force. However, they didn't look good. They frowned and looked worried. At the same time, they saw Crepe Myrtle Star in Wu Xingyuan's hand, and the worry on their faces became more intense. What's wrong? Wu Xingyuan saw the strange expressions on Tu Qian and Wu Qiutong's faces and asked in surprise. Brother Xingyuan, Long Wen came looking for you. I'm afraid he didn't come with good intentions. Now that you've kidnapped his friend Zixing, I'm afraid he won't let it go. Tu Qian sighed. Wu Xingyuan sneered. What's that Long Wen? Other than shooting arrows in the back, what other abilities does he have? He's just a coward. Wu Qiutong's beautiful eyes were filled with worry. She said in a deep voice, Xingyuan, don't be careless. Long Wen's strength seems to have increased greatly. Brother Tu Qian was subdued by him in one move. His strength is definitely not simple. Oh! He subdued Brother Tu Qian in one move? Looks like he's made some progress, but I still don't take him seriously. Wu Xingyuan's eyes were filled with arrogance. He didn't take Long Wen seriously at all. In Wu Xingyuan's eyes, even if Long Wen's strength wasn't simple, he was definitely not his opponent. Back then, he had even been able to suppress a late-stage transcending heaven lord like the Crepe Myrtle Star. He had investigated and found that the dragon rune was much weaker than the Crepe Myrtle Star. Even if Long Wen's strength had increased, it was impossible for him to be his opponent. He had this kind of confidence and did not fear Long Wen at all. Instead, in his heart, He was looking forward to meeting Long Wen and capturing him in one fell swoop. Tu Qian and Wu Qiutong looked at each other. Seeing Wu Xingyuan so confident, the worry in their hearts lessened greatly. They also realized that the person standing in front of them was not an ordinary genius. He was the #1 genius of the sorcerer tribe, a monster who could look down on the entire primitive heaven realm. No matter how extraordinary that dragon rune was, could it be that Wu Xingyuan had left? If it was a one-on-one fight, Wu Xingyuan did not even place this late-stage heavenly master in his eyes, let alone that Long Wen. Brother Xingyuan, you're right. I was rash just now. With Brother Xingyuan's strength, if that Long Wen came over, it would truly be seeking death. Tu Qian said rather embarrassedly. Here. That's true. Xingyuan is the #1 genius of the sorcerer tribe, and he even has a powerful sorcerer body. We were careless because we cared too much. That's why we were rash just now. Wu Qiutong chuckled and looked at Wu Xingyuan with a blushing face. Wu Xingyuan held Ziwei Star Lord in his left hand and placed his right hand behind his back. His eyes were filled with arrogance. That Long Wen is just a coward. His friend is in trouble, but he plays the game of vanishing into thin air. I wonder where he is hiding. However, we are about to leave the ancestral sorcerer magical pond. Even if Long Wen can hide, he can't hide anymore. At that time, I will personally capture him and kill him in front of countless people, Wu Xingyuan said proudly. Tu Qian and Wu Qiutong nodded. They were also infected by Wu Xingyuan's confidence. They felt that so what if Long Wen's strength had increased greatly? He would not be Wu Xingyuan's opponent. Oh, you want to kill me in front of everyone? Are you sure? Suddenly, a faintly discernible voice slowly came over. Wu Xingyuan's eyes slowly narrowed. He raised his head and turned around. He saw Zhuowen, who was dressed in black, walking over slowly. His eyes were filled with coldness, provocation, and contempt. Seeing Zhuowen's attitude, Wu Xingyuan snorted coldly. His face was a little ugly. He said, I really didn't expect that you would dare to come after seeing me here instead of hiding. I really admire your courage. Tu Qian and Wu Qiutong's faces changed slightly. They secretly stepped back and stared at Zhuowen with vigilance. Zhuowen's combat strength had left a deep impression on them. They knew that the two of them were absolutely no match for Zhuowen. Zhuowen ignored Tu Qian and Wu Qiutong's actions. Instead, he looked at Ziwei Star Lord in Wu Xingyuan's hand and said coldly, Put him down and I can let you die a quick death. Wu Xingyuan was stunned. He immediately laughed and said, Let me die a quick death. Long Wen, you're too arrogant. Do you really think that I can't restrain you? If not for your sneak attack earlier, you and Ziwei would have long been two corpses. Then I wouldn't have allowed you to be arrogant in front of me now. However, it's very good now. Taking the initiative to come and die, it saves me from finding trouble with you. Wu Xingyuan was very conceited. He looked at Zhuowen with a cold gaze, full of confidence that victory was in his hands. He did not put Zhuowen in his eyes at all. I won't talk nonsense with you either. Die for me. Zhuowen shook his head and stomped his right foot. Terrifying ripples suddenly appeared in the surrounding space. This was a terrifying phenomenon caused by a tremendous energy explosion. Zhuowen could actually cause such a huge uproar with just a stomp. It could be seen how terrifying and powerful this Zhuowen was. In an instant, Zhuowen disappeared on the spot and already appeared in front of Wu Xingyuan. Wu Xingyuan's eyes narrowed slightly. Zhuowen's speed was so fast that it actually made him a little dizzy. But he was also not an ordinary person. The moment Zhuowen swept in front of him, his right hand formed into a fist and still blasted out. The cultivation of the middle stage Tongtian Lord plus the power of the 8-star wizard body was extremely terrifying. When the fist and palm collided, the aftershock was like an explosion of clouds and mist, spreading out in all directions. It was exceptionally terrifying and shocking. Tu Qian and Wu Qiutong both could not withstand it and hurriedly retreated. Their gazes were solemn as they looked at the two figures that were already covered by the aftershock and could not be seen clearly. Zhuowen's strength was so powerful that it somewhat exceeded their expectations. Just this move could actually burst out such a terrifying aura. It actually had the tendency to be on par with Wu Xingyuan. The moment Wu Xingyuan's fist came into contact with Zhuowen, he immediately realized that something was wrong. Chapter 3370. Retreat. That was the only thought in Wu Xingyuan's mind. He had underestimated Long Wen. He knew that Long Wen was very powerful and was probably stronger than him. He could not continue to fight him head-on. However, just as Wu Xingyuan was about to retreat, a palm turned into a claw and quickly grabbed his left arm. With a sudden squeeze, Wu Xingyuan's left arm was directly twisted. Wu Xingyuan cried out in pain and immediately let go of his left hand that was holding Crepe Myrtle Star Sovereign and quickly retreated. Zhuowen took Crepe Myrtle Star Sovereign and did not chase after Wu Xingyuan. Instead, he checked on Crepe Myrtle Star Sovereign's condition. What made him heave a sigh of relief was that although Crepe Myrtle Star Sovereign was severely injured, he was not dead and still had a breath of life. Zhuowen took out a healing divine pill and fed it to Crepe Myrtle Star Sovereign. Then, he sent Crepe Myrtle Star Sovereign into the macro world. After he instructed Ghost Plume and Yin Wuxie in the macro world to take care of Crepe Myrtle Star Sovereign, he rushed out of the aftermath of the battle and chased after Wu Xingyuan, who was escaping. I wonder how the battle between Xingyuan and Long Wen went. I really did not expect Long Wen to be so powerful that he could fight with Xingyuan for so long, Wu Qiutong said with a frown. Long Wen is indeed powerful. However, Brother Xingyuan is even more powerful. Long Wen will definitely be killed by Brother Xingyuan. There is no doubt about that, Tu Qian said in a deep voice. While the two of them were discussing, a rather miserable figure suddenly rushed out from the aftermath of the battle. The two of them looked over and realized that the figure was actually Wu Xingyuan. What made the two of them even more stunned was that Wu Xingyuan's current condition was very bad. Wu Xingyuan's right hand was directly blasted into a bloody mist and completely disappeared. As for his left arm, it was twisted beyond recognition. It was probably crippled. Seeing Wu Xingyuan's miserable state, Tu Qian and Wu Qiutong both opened their mouths wide and were speechless. Long Wen's strength is really extraordinary. Before he died, he could actually make Brother Xingyuan so miserable. Tu Qian shook his head and said solemnly. Wu Qiutong nodded. Wu Xingyuan's miserable state really shocked the two of them. However, the two people both thought that Wu Xingyuan only paid such a price after finishing off Long Wen. In the hearts of the two, the scale of victory was still tilted towards Wu Xingyuan. They simply could not imagine that Wu Xingyuan was beaten to such a state by Long Wen and could only escape. They were too confident in Wu Xingyuan. As soon as Wu Xingyuan left the range of the aftermath, he fled toward the hole in the distance with a panicked expression. He was very shocked in his heart, and there was also a trace of regret. He truly did not expect that Long Wen's strength would actually be so terrifying, crippling his right arm with a single move. Just from that one exchange of blows earlier, Wu Xingyuan knew that he was completely not Long Wen's match. I have to leave this place as soon as possible. As long as I leave this place and reach the main hall of the shaman tribe, I will be safe. At that time, the high priest will help me destroy Long Wen. Wu Xingyuan thought fiercely in his heart, but his speed became faster and faster. After Zhuowen flew out of the range of the aftermath, he saw Wu Qiutong and Tu Qian, who were in a daze. He ignored the two of them and chased after Wu Xingyuan directly. Wu Xingyuan, didn't you claim to be the #1 genius in the primitive heavenly region? Now, you are actually fleeing in panic like a stray dog. Don't you feel ashamed? Zhuowen's calm voice was heard. Tu Qian and Wu Qiutong immediately came back to their senses and looked at Long Wen, who was chasing after Wu Xingyuan speechlessly. Oh my god! Brother Xingyuan is actually not Long Wen's match. How long has it been and he was defeated? Did he use one move or two moves? Tu Qian opened his mouth and finally said such a sentence. Wu Qiutong also felt that it was unbelievable, but she had to believe that what she saw before her eyes was the truth. Wu Xingyuan was really defeated. Moreover, he was chased by Long Wen like a stray dog. It was too embarrassing. Zhuowen's voice was very loud. Wu Xingyuan naturally heard it clearly. His eyes revealed a look of humiliation, but the speed of his feet was extremely fast. He swore in his heart that after leaving the space of this ancestor-sorcerer magical pool, he would definitely let the high priest take action personally and exterminate this arrogant Long Wen. Huff. Almost there. After going out, it will be Long Wen's time of death. There are many experts in the sorcerer tribe. This Long Wen is dead for sure. Wu Xingyuan saw the black hole that was close at hand. He let out a breath lightly. He knew that he could leave the ancestor-sorcerer magical pool after entering this black hole. He did not even think and plunged into the interior of the black hole. Not long after Wu Xingyuan entered, Zhuowen already rushed over. He laughed coldly and said, "Wu Xingyuan, you can't escape. You're dead meat." Saying that, Zhuowen also entered the black hole head first. Following Wu Xingyuan's aura, he chased over swiftly. Not long after Zhuowen and Wu Xingyuan entered the black hole, Tu Qian and Wu Qiutong also rushed over. The two of them looked at each other, both revealing worried looks. They also plunged into the black hole. In the guardian ground where the sorcerer tribe's main hall was, the high priest of the sorcerer tribe, Wu Wuxian, stood in front of the various tribe leaders. Her beautiful eyes stared at the whirlpool floating in the air. That was the exit of the ancestor-sorcerer magical pool. The ominous feeling in her heart grew stronger. She did not know what had happened in the ancestor-sorcerer space that made her feel so uneasy. She planned to wait for Wu Xingyuan to come out and properly ask him what had happened in the ancestor-sorcerer magical pool. Wu Wuxian did not speak. Corpse Yinmarsh and the other tribe leaders also remained silent. They did not dare to speak carelessly. Suddenly, a figure swept out from the whirlpool in the air. When everyone saw the figure's true appearance, they were not surprised. Because the first to come out was the #1 genius of the sorcerer tribe, Wu Xingyuan. Everyone knew that Wu Xingyuan was powerful. Now that Wu Xingyuan was the first to walk out of the ancestor-sorcerer magical pool, this was naturally the most normal thing. However, people quickly realized that Wu Xingyuan was not in a good state. His right arm was gone, and his left arm was twisted. His hair was disheveled, and he was in a bad state. Moreover, they could also see that Wu Xingyuan's eyes were filled with panic, as if something was chasing after him. The moment Wu Wuxian saw Wu Xingyuan's state, her eyes darkened. Just as she was about to scold Wu Xingyuan, another figure suddenly rushed out of the whirlpool. The moment the figure swept out of the whirlpool, it rushed towards Wu Xingyuan. Wu Xingyuan's eyes were filled with fear. He immediately turned around, intending to block the figure. Poof! Unfortunately, Wu Xingyuan was not this figure's opponent at all and was actually sent flying out by the impact. The figure caught up with Wu Xingyuan and grabbed Wu Xingyuan's neck with one hand. With a sudden force, Wu Xingyuan's neck was broken. However, the figure did not stop there. He pointed a finger and it landed on Wu Xingyuan's forehead. Wu Xingyuan looked up to the sky and screamed. Then, he suddenly stopped. His head tilted to one side, and he completely stopped breathing. He died just like that. Wu Wuxian's eyes widened. The moment her gaze fell on the figure's face, her expression was very interesting. Chapter 3371. Zhuowen casually tossed Wu Xingyuan's corpse to the ground. Bang! The sound of the corpse colliding with the ground reverberated in the space, causing everyone's eyes to focus on Wu Xingyuan, who had already become a corpse. Wu Wuxian was stunned. She stared at Wu Xingyuan's corpse, her heart filled with rage. She looked at Zhuowen in the sky, wanting nothing more than to destroy Zhuowen. Whoosh! 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 Not long after Zhuowen killed Wu Xingyuan, Tu Qian and Wu Qiutong came out of the vortex. They glanced at Zhuowen but were quickly attracted by Wu Xingyuan's corpse on the ground. Brother Xingyuan, he's dead. Tu Qian stared at Wu Xingyuan's corpse in shock. Wu Qiutong was even more dispirited. She had always liked Wu Xingyuan. Now that Wu Xingyuan had died in front of her, she was naturally very depressed. After Tu Qian and Wu Qiutong, Xiu Kong of the Spacetime Beast race and Xiong Gui of the Giant Turtle race also came out of the vortex. They also saw Wu Xingyuan's corpse and were so shocked that their bodies stiffened. They stood motionless on the spot. Soon, their eyes fell on Zhuowen, who was not far away. They all guessed that Wu Xingyuan's death was caused by Zhuowen. Zhuowen ignored the gazes of Tu Qian and the others. The four of them were no threat to him. His gaze fell on Wu Wuxian, the high priest below. He did not avoid looking at Wu Wuxian. He could feel that Wu Wuxian was very powerful. Although her cultivation was also at the late stage of the Skyreach Master Realm, she was much stronger than the patriarchs of the major races. She was probably not far from the peak of the Skyreach Master Realm. This kid is really arrogant. Wu Wuxian was furious. She did not expect Zhuowen to be so bold. He killed Wu Xingyuan and still looked her in the eye. Was this a slap to her face? Just as Wu Wuxian was about to teach Zhuowen a lesson, Shi Yingquan, who was standing beside him, stopped him. Grand Priest, this Long Wen is treacherous and deserves death indeed. However, we should question this kid before we make a move against him. Exactly how did he sneak into the ancestral shaman's strange pond? Furthermore, don't you think that the number of geniuses that came out of the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond is too little? Only 4 people came out. Corpse Yinmarsh was very calm as he spoke in a deep voice. At this moment, Tu Qian, Wu Qiutong, and the other 3 returned to their teams. Soon, the news that the other geniuses had been killed by Zhuowen spread. Especially when Wu Wuxian found out that Wu Wenbin and Wu Shuran were killed by Zhuowen, she almost fainted from anger. It was the fortune of the sorcerer tribe to have 3 talented juniors. They were the future pillars of the sorcerer tribe. In the future, they would definitely be the strongest warriors in the untainted heaven realm. Wu Xingyuan, in particular, had unlimited potential. It would not be a problem for him to reach the height of the sorcerer tribe's sacred leader in the future. However, now that the 3 geniuses of the sorcerer tribe had been killed by Long Wen, Wu Wuxian was so angry that her liver hurt. She could not wait to kill Long Wen. Not only Wu Wuxian, but the leaders of the Black Tiger tribe, the Dragon tribe, and the Phoenix people were also shocked and furious when they found out that the geniuses of their tribes had been killed by Long Wen in the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond. Ah! Long Wen, you bastard! How dare you kill the genius of our tribe, Feng Bumming? Today, we, the Phoenix people, will not rest until you die. Feng Leluor roared furiously. After Feng Leluor spoke, the leader of the Merman tribe, Yong Shi, the leader of the Dragon tribe, Zonglong, and the leader of the Black Tiger tribe, Hu Shuo, also spoke one after another. They vowed to crush Long Wen's bones and scatter his ashes. The commotion in the inner city was too great. Not only the disciples of the sorcerer tribe in the inner city, but many of the foreign tribes in the outer city also looked in the direction of the inner city. The scene of Zhuowen crushing Wu Xingyuan in midair was witnessed by most of the experts of the foreign tribes. Oh my god, who is that guy? I think he just killed the top genius of the sorcerer tribe, Wu Xingyuan. Am I seeing things? You're not seeing things. That guy really did kill Wu Xingyuan. I remember this guy. His name is Long Wen. He's a genius from a small tribe that participated in the sorcerer song gathering. Are you kidding me? A genius from a small tribe can kill Wu Xingyuan. This is unbelievable. The entire sorcerer god city was in an uproar. However, Zhuowen, who was floating in midair, soon landed on the ground. The experts of the foreign tribes in the outer city could not see what happened next. They were in an uproar and wanted to enter the inner city to take a look. Unfortunately, the inner city was surrounded by a powerful forbidding force and they could not enter. Wu Wuxian stared coldly at Zhuowen, who had landed on the ground. He suppressed his anger and said, Long Wen, speak. How did you sneak into the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond? Also, why did you kill Wu Xingyuan and the other geniuses for no reason? Now, give me an explanation and I'll give you a quick death. Zhuowen looked at Wu Wuxian with a strange look and asked, High Priest, have you not opened the seal on the surface of the spirit ring I gave you during this time? Wu Wuxian was stunned and had a bad feeling. He said coldly, I really didn't expect that your array Dao level would be so good. You can set up such a troublesome forbidding force on the surface of the spiritual ring. I really haven't been able to crack it. Haha, since you haven't cracked it, you don't have to waste your effort. The spiritual ring is empty. There's nothing in it. Also, how did I sneak into the ancestral sorcerer magical pond? Don't you have any idea? Zhuowen said with a faint smile. Wu Wuxian's expression changed slightly. She immediately thought of the green-haired mummy. Did that senior let you in? Wu Wuxian said with some fear. What else? How do you think I got in? Zhuowen made up a story. What he said was completely made up on the spot. His entry into the ancestral sorcerer magical pond had nothing to do with the green-haired mummy, but now he needed to take advantage of the situation. Moreover, Zhuowen knew that the green-haired mummy seemed to have been in seclusion for the past few days through his human body. He put all the blame on the green-haired mummy. For a while, even Wu Wuxian could not prove it, which bought him a lot of time. The reason why he said this was mainly because he was afraid of the green-haired mummy and the sorcerer tribe's saint master. If not for these two, Zhuowen would have already caused a ruckus in the sorcerer tribe's main hall. After his Pangu sacred body reached the 8 stars, his strength was very strong. He was sure that his current battle strength could completely destroy a master of Heaven's Passage. He could even fight a master of Heaven's Passage like the sorcerer tribe's saint master. Chapter 3372. Beating someone at their own game. What's your relationship with that senior? Wu Wuxian asked fearfully. You don't need to know my relationship with him. All you need to know is that if you kill me, you'll die. Zhuowen said indifferently. Wu Wuxian's eyes darkened. She took out a communication talisman and sent a message to the sorcerer tribe's holy leader. She wanted the sorcerer tribe's holy leader to ask about the relationship between the dragon rune and the green-furred mummy. However, what she received was that the green-furred mummy was in seclusion and no one was allowed to disturb him. Wu Wuxian was helpless. She told the sorcerer tribe's holy leader about the situation here. The holy leader replied that he would come over immediately and did not send any more messages. At this moment, the inner city's array had been activated and the sorcerer tribe experts had surrounded the guarded ground. They all looked at Zhuowen with unfriendly gazes. Zhuowen was not in a hurry. He knew that Wu Wuxian must have informed the sorcerer tribe's holy leader. However, he was not worried. The sorcerer tribe's holy leader was wary of the green-furred mummy. As long as he knew that Su Mo was related to the green-furred mummy, he would not casually attack Su Mo. Although Su Mo's relationship with the green-furred mummy was not friendly, they were enemies. However, the sorcerer tribe's holy leader did not know what their relationship was. He only knew that Su Mo knew the green-furred mummy. As long as the sorcerer tribe's holy leader knew this, he would not act rashly and attack Su Mo. Deng. The stalemate did not last for long. The doors of the sorcerer tribe's main hall opened once again and a majestic figure slowly walked out. This was a middle-aged man with sharp eyes like a falcon. He was muscular and his skin was deep purple. The purple robe he wore complemented his skin perfectly. This man was the current leader of the sorcerer tribe, the sorcerer tribe's holy leader, Wu Shinya. When Wu Shinya appeared, all the foreign races in the square lowered their heads and looked in his direction with respect. Zhuowen also raised his head and looked at Wu Shinya. This was not the first time he had seen Wu Shinya. Back in the sorcerer tribe's main hall, he had seen him once. Wu Shenhuaye's aura was very terrifying. He had heard from the green-haired corpse that Wu Shenhuaye's cultivation should have reached the peak of the Tongtian Lord realm. However, compared to a half-step heaven-crushing cultivator, he was still trash. Otherwise, Wu Shinya would not have acted so respectfully in front of the green-haired corpse back in the sorcerer tribe's great hall. Lord, holy lord! With Wu Shinya's arrival, Wu Wuxian quickly lowered his head. Corpse Yinhu and the others also became very obedient and didn't dare to say a word. Wu Shinya nodded slightly, before he glanced at Zhuowen with a strange look in his eyes. You're called Long Wen, right? I clearly remember that you were still in the main hall of the sorcerer tribe. When did you enter the space of the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond? With my insignificant abilities, it is naturally impossible for me to enter the space of the wizard's magical pond. But there are people who have the ability to do so. Could it be that the sacred lord didn't think of this? Holy Lord, You don't have to think about forcing me to stay. The reason I came out was because that lord let me leave. My purpose in entering the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond was also that lord's idea. I'm sure you know that, Holy Lord. Zhuowen spoke nonsense without a trace of embarrassment. He was already prepared for a big battle with the sorcerer tribe, so he spoke without any scruples. At most, he would fight. However, Zhuowen's words caused Wu Shenya's pupils to shrink. He sized up Long Wen and revealed a thoughtful expression. He thought to himself, that lord came for the 3 ancestral sorcerer corpses. Coincidentally, this child was also sent into the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond. Could it be that what this child said was true? That lord was worried about me and allowed this child to enter the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond to observe. Wu Shenya couldn't make up his mind. When the green-haired corpse took Zhuowen away, he already felt that this child had a deep relationship with the corpse. Now, this feeling was even stronger. Holy Lord, this child is unfilial. He killed Wu Xingyuan, Wu Xiuran, and Wu Wenbin. He is unscrupulous and unrestrained. This child should be killed, Wu Wuxian said anxiously when he saw Wu Shenya's hesitant expression. Corpse Inma and the others also tried to persuade him. They listed out all the evidence of Zhuowen's crimes. They believed that Long Wen's crimes were too numerous to be recorded. His crimes were unforgivable. Zhuowen silently looked at the people who were trying to persuade Wu Shenya to kill him. His heart was filled with a cold smile. If it wasn't for the green-haired corpse, he would have already caused a ruckus and killed all these people who had ulterior motives. However, he didn't do so now. He wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. If he had the chance in the future, he would visit the nests of these races and teach them a lesson. All right. You don't need to say anything. I have my own decision. Wu Shenya spoke. Everyone was silent and no one dared to make a sound. Long Wen, since you have some relationship with that senior, I won't make things difficult for you. However, you still killed 3 of my sorcerer tribe's geniuses. You have to give me an explanation for this. Wu Shenya glared at Zhuowen with an unfriendly gaze. This is easy. That senior already guessed that I might not hold back. He warned me that if I made a huge mistake, he would be responsible for compensation. He will guide you to break through your current shackles and step into the half-step heaven-crushing realm. I wonder if Holy Lord will accept this compensation. Zhuowen began to talk nonsense. Moreover, he could tell from Wu Shenya's expression that the green-haired corpse had come to the sorcerer tribe with a purpose. He could guess that the green-haired corpse had come from the 3 ancestral sorcerer corpses in the ancestral sorcerer mystical pond. However, he found it strange. With the green-haired corpse's strength, it could have just taken the corpses by force. Why did it have to wait there? Wu Shenya's pupils shrank. His breathing immediately quickened as he asked, "Are you serious?" In any case, this senior personally told me this. Do you think it's true or not? He doesn't make promises easily. Once he does, it must be something he's confident in. It can't be fake. Zhuowen said seriously. Ha ha ha. Young Master Long, I misunderstood you before. This is the highest grade token in Sorcerer God City. Those who possess this token have the right to freely enter and exit Sorcerer God City. From now on, this token belongs to you. Wu Shenya was in a good mood. He tossed the token to Zhuowen with an extremely excited expression. Although he had lost 3 monstrous geniuses, he felt that he had not lost out in exchange for a chance to break through. Instead, he had profited from this transaction. Zhuowen caught Wu Shenya's token and lightly sighed in his heart. He cupped his hands at Wu Shenya and said, "Since it's like this, I'll take my leave first. There are many locusts here that annoy me. I can't stay here any longer." After saying this, Zhuowen straightforwardly left the inner city. With this token, he was not stopped from leaving the inner city. Wu Wuxian, Shi Yinju, and the others' expressions changed greatly. They hurriedly advised Wu Shenya not to be so impulsive. They also listed Long Wen's various crimes and dangers. Wu Shenya sneered and said, "Do you think I don't know? This kid didn't speak the truth just now. I'm just beating him at his own game." Chapter 3373. Encirclement and Suppression. Holy Lord, what do you mean? Wu Wuxian asked suspiciously. What I am not sure of is the relationship between this child and that senior. If what he said is true, then this child's relationship with that senior is not shallow. If we capture this child, won't we be offending that senior? Wu Shinya said indifferently. Wu Wuxian frowned and said, Holy Lord, even if that is the case, you should not have given such an important token to Long Wen. Isn't that giving Long Wen the right to leave Sorcerer God City at any time? He won't be able to escape. That token has a special tracking aura. Apart from me, no one can sense that aura. No matter where Long Wen escapes, I will be able to pinpoint his location. Wu Shenya's eyes were filled with confidence. He took out a shining jade strip and handed it to Wu Wuxian. Grand Priest, through this jade strip, you will be able to sense Long Wen's location at any time. As long as you discover that Long Wen has left Sorcerer God City, arrange for people to kill him. As long as he does not die in Sorcerer God City, even if that senior has a close relationship with this child, it will not be our fault. Wu Wuxian took the jade strip. Her beautiful eyes were filled with killing intent. She had wanted to kill Long Wen for a long time. If she was not afraid of the green-furred corpse, she would have done it long ago. Now that she had received Wu Shenya's advice, she knew what to do. After Wu Shenya returned to the Sorcerer Tribe's main hall, Wu Wuxian began to secretly send a message to Corpse Inhu and the other tribe leaders. This Long Wen is not simple. We need to temporarily reach an agreement and work together to capture this Long Wen. As for this child's secret, we can discuss it after we capture him, Corpse Inhu suggested. Corpse Inhu's suggestion was approved by the other tribe leaders. They all felt that it was very reasonable. After Zhuowen left the inner city, he quickly flew towards the inn that he had booked. His expression became more and more serious. The token that Wu Shenya had given him was indeed very useful. However, Zhuowen's heart grew heavier because he felt that Wu Shenya was too easy to trick. How could he have believed him so easily? He had also used his divine sense to check the token that Wu Shenya had given him. However, he did not find anything out of the ordinary. However, he still felt uneasy, so he planned to put away the array around the inn and leave Sorcerer God City immediately. After Zhuowen returned to the inn, his original human body was trapped on a giant stone pillar in a room deep in the Sorcerer Tribe's palace. The eyes of the main body of the human race flickered, and he muttered in a low voice, "Looks like my avatar has already succeeded. It's time for me to leave." As he said that, the true body of the human race opened up his right palm. On his palm, there was a complicated diagram of a formation. This array pattern was the temporary teleportation array that Zhuowen had prepared long ago. The light from the array on his palm grew brighter and brighter until it was as bright as the sun. Then, Zhuowen's entire body emitted a dazzling light. Not long after, Zhuowen's entire body turned into fine specks of light and exploded, disappearing from the room. Not long after the true body of the human race left, the bookshelf deep in the room slowly opened. Behind the bookshelf, there was a deep secret passage. A skinny figure slowly walked out from the secret passage. It was the green-haired mummy. After the green-haired mummy walked out of the secret passage, he immediately felt that something was wrong. He looked at the stone pillar that Zhuowen had been trapped on and frowned. This was because Zhuowen had disappeared. This Zhuowen was actually able to escape from my energy. He's not simple. The green-haired mummy squinted his eyes and muttered to himself. The green-haired mummy did not reveal any expression of shock or anger. Instead, he was rather calm, as if he was not particularly concerned about Zhuowen's escape. He took out a communication talisman and called for the holy leader of the Sorcerer Tribe. "Senior, you've come out of seclusion?" The holy leader of the Sorcerer Tribe, Wu Shenya, said respectfully the moment he entered the room. "Yes, I've just come out of seclusion. The Sorcerer Song gathering should have ended. Now, you should bring me into the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond to take a look," the green-haired mummy said indifferently. Wu Shenya revealed a bitter smile. He knew that the result that he did not want the most had finally come. It has indeed ended. Wu Shenya braced himself and said, "If that's the case, then lead the way." the green-haired mummy said straightforwardly. Wu Shinya sighed and could only bring the green-haired mummy out of the sorcerer tribe's main hall. After walking out of the main hall, Wu Shinya suddenly said, "Senior, did you send Long Wen into the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond to investigate the situation?" The green-haired mummy was stunned and said strangely, "During this period of time, I've been in seclusion. How could I send Long Wen into the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond? Moreover, why would I send him in?" Thinking of this, the green-haired mummy's gaze became serious. He said coldly, "You mean that Long Wen entered the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond before?" Wu Shinya nodded and said, "Yes. Long Wen also said that you sent him in. Moreover, he said that you have a close relationship with him." Wu Shinya's expression turned ugly. He had already guessed that Long Wen was lying through his teeth and deceiving him. "Open the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond. I want to go in and take a look at the 3 ancestral sorcerer corpses," the green-haired mummy said gloomily. Wu Shinya felt the terrifying aura from the green-haired mummy and did not dare to be careless. He waved his sleeve and opened a path to the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond. The green-haired mummy quickly entered with Wu Shinya following closely behind. However, before Wu Shinya entered the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond, he sent a message to the high priest regarding Long Wen. At the same time that the green-haired mummy and Wu Shinya entered the ancestral sorcerer's magical pond, the light of a teleportation formation appeared in a room in the inn. Zhuowen's main body was enveloped by the light and slowly appeared in the room. The main body opened its eyes and immediately noticed the black-clothed doppelganger that was already in the room. "We should go." After saying this, the doppelganger returned to the main body's great world. However, just as he was about to leave the inn, the entire inn shook violently as if the sky was falling and the earth was splitting. When he stepped out of the inn's door, he immediately saw several patriarchs led by Corpse Yinmarsh. They were actually working together to attack the formation that he had set up around the inn. Apart from the Corpse Gal race's patriarch Corpse Yinmarsh, there was also the Dragon race's patriarch Zhong Long, the Black Tiger race's patriarch Hu Shuo, the Merman race's patriarch Yong Shi, the Phoenix people's patriarch Feng Liluo, and many other experts from the 5 great races. Apart from that, Zhuowen also saw dozens of patriarchs assisting Corpse Yinmarsh and the others in attacking the inn. Chapter 3374. Peerless Killing Formation emerges. Zhuowen had only activated a heaven-piercing formation around the inn, and it was a defensive formation, the Green Garden Jade Formation. Under the combined attacks of so many heaven-piercing masters, it was on the verge of collapsing, as if it would collapse at any moment. Zhuowen raised his head and looked at the Grand Priest, Wu Wuxian, who was hovering in the air and silently observing the situation. He took out the badge that Wu Shinya had given him and said in a deep voice, "Grand Priest, what is the meaning of this? The sacred leader of the sorcerer tribe has already promised that he will not attack me. You are going against the will of the sacred leader of the sorcerer tribe." Wu Wuxian laughed coldly and said, "Long Wen, you are very smart. You know how to take advantage of the situation and forcefully establish a relationship with that senior. However, a fake will always be a fake. That senior has already come out of seclusion and denied the relationship you mentioned. Now, the sacred leader has given the order to kill a traitor like you. Haha. Long Wen, those who are unjust are doomed to destruction. Today, you are dead for sure. There is no need to struggle. Remove this formation and come out to die. You will suffer less." Corpse Yinmarsh laughed sinisterly. "Hehe, brother Yinmarsh, you are too kind. Even though this formation is quite powerful, it won't be able to last for long under our joint efforts. Break through this formation and tear this bastard apart. Of course, I won't destroy his soul so quickly. I will make him suffer endless suffering and never be able to reincarnate," Feng Liluo said with a savage expression. The other patriarchs also spoke ruthlessly, thinking that they had Zhuowen in the bag. Zhuowen silently looked at the group of Empyrean sovereigns spouting obscenities without batting an eyelid. He looked at the badge in his hand and ignited a terrifying flame in his right hand, destroying the badge. He said indifferently, "Break this formation, and it will be the time of your death. If you do not want to die, or if you are unrelated, you should back off. Otherwise, it will be too late for regret. Zhuowen's words sounded like a warning, but they immediately caused mocking laughter. The Almighties who had joined forces to attack Zhuowen all laughed. The more they looked down on Zhuowen, the more they felt that Zhuowen was a coward who was afraid of death, stubborn and prideful. The huge commotion had attracted the attention of all the outsiders in Shaman God City. One by one, figures began to gather in this direction. When they saw the patriarchs of the large clans and the 5 patriarchs of the 10 great clans led by Corpse Yinmarsh, they were all shocked. So many earthly divine realm experts had joined forces to attack an ordinary-looking inn. Were they crazy? Or was there something incredible in that inn? They also discovered that the experts of the sorcerer tribe were also participating in this alliance. The high priest of the sorcerer tribe, Wu Wuxian, was floating not far away, quietly watching the scene without any intention of interfering. They knew that the sorcerer tribe had tacitly approved of this action. At the same time, they were curious about who had caused such a huge uproar and caused so many earthly divine realm experts to surround and attack him. This was the first time in the history of the Eldritch territory. I heard that it was Long Wen, a genius from a small clan. He killed 3 sorcerer tribe geniuses, including Wu Xingyuan, in the space of the sorcerer's magical pond. He also killed Feng Bumming of the Phoenix people, Long Hui of the Dragon tribe, and Hu Teng of the Black Tiger tribe. That's why everyone is angry. It's Long Wen. I've heard of him before. His name has spread throughout Shaman God City. This guy killed the #1 genius of the Corpse Ghost tribe, Shifu, at the Sorcerer Song gathering. How dare he? I remember that he was captured by the Sorcerer tribe and brought back to the main hall of the Sorcerer tribe. How could he enter the Sorcerer's magical pond? How strange. All the outsiders were discussing. Most of them shook their heads and sighed. They felt that Long Wen was doomed. With so many omnipotent beings joining forces, even a top omnipotent being at the peak of the omnipotent being realm might not be able to withstand them. Long Wen was just a genius from a small clan. How could he be a match for so many omnipotent beings? The teams that did not participate in the encirclement of the Moon Wolf tribe, the Nine-tailed Fox tribe, the Giant Turtle tribe, and the Spacetime Beast tribe stood far away and watched the shocking scene in silence. Long Wen is doomed. I didn't expect that he would attract so many omnipotent beings to attack him. They think too highly of him. Tu Qian found it unbelievable. I didn't expect that country bumpkin to be so strong that he would attract so many experts to attack him. Qian Ping, who was standing beside Tu Qian, was stunned. She realized that Long Wen was unfathomable. She had misjudged him. However, she sighed in her heart. She knew that Long Wen would not be able to survive. This was a horrifying situation where there was no chance of survival. The Moon Wolf tribe leader, Yi Taihe, frowned. He felt that it was too much for so many experts to attack him. However, he did not dare to speak up for Zhuowen. If he spoke up, the Moon Wolf tribe would be finished. This guy is more talented than Wu Xingyuan. It's a pity that he is going to die here. What a pity. Wu Qiutong sighed. Ever since Wu Xingyuan was defeated by Zhuowen, her view of Zhuowen had changed completely. She even had a strange feeling in her heart. She was born in a large clan and had an obsession with the strong. The strongest person in the younger generation had always been the most suitable candidate to be her cultivation partner. Wu Xingyuan was like that back then and Zhuowen was like that now. She admired the strong and disdained the weak. Many of the foreign tribes that were watching had the same thought. They felt that it was a pity that a peerless genius like Zhuowen had fallen. Crack. Suddenly, the green garden jade array that was set up around the inn was broken. Dozens of omnipotent beings who were attacking the array rushed in and entered the inn. At the same time, terrifying attacks rained down on Zhuowen's body like dazzling fireworks. They exploded with terrifying light and looked extremely terrifying. One of the omnipotent beings was the first to arrive at the battlefield where Zhuowen was. He saw the figure that was enveloped and knew that he was not completely dead yet. He reached out with his right hand, wanting to grab Zhuowen. However, the moment his right hand reached out, he was greeted by a huge fist. Then, This early-stage omnipotent being's right hand exploded into a bloody mist. This early-stage omnipotent being screamed and hurriedly retreated. Unfortunately, Zhuowen was much faster than him. He rushed out of the explosion and quickly arrived in front of this early-stage omnipotent being. He grabbed this early-stage omnipotent being by the neck. Crack! Zhuowen did not hesitate to break this early-stage omnipotent being's neck. Terrifying energy exploded, and this early-stage omnipotent being's head exploded. His soul was destroyed and he was casually thrown to the ground by Zhuowen. At the same time, Zhuowen took out a formation flag and threw it out. Instantly, the surrounding scenery changed and a peerless killing intent surged from the surroundings. Chapter 3375. Slaughter. When Zhuowen unleashed his power and killed an early-stage Transcendence Master, Corpse Yinhuang and the other Almighties had arrived. Their eyes were bloodshot, and they couldn't wait to kill Zhuowen. But soon, they sensed the terrifying murderous aura. Heavens! Are these 3 Transcendence killing arrays? When did this guy set them up? Finally, when someone discovered the exceptional killing formation around them, they cried out in alarm, feeling that this was inconceivable. The killing energy formed by the combination of the 3 killing arrays was too terrifying. 7 or 8 ordinary early-stage Transcendence Masters were instantly annihilated by the killing energy. The other Transcendence Masters were suppressed by the killing energy. Their bodies trembled, and their eyes were filled with fear. The moment the 3 supreme killing formations were activated, Zhuowen made his move. He suddenly bent his body, and his body emitted cracking sounds as he shot out, instantly arriving beside an early-stage Transcendence Master. Rumble. He smashed out with a fist. It was like a blazing sun that erupted, dazzling and resplendent. Suppressed by the killing arrays, the early-stage Transcendence Master's body burst into a bloody mist. He was extremely weak and panting heavily. He didn't have much strength to resist at all before he was smashed into a bloody mist by Zhuowen's punch. After killing the early-stage Transcendence Master, Zhuowen's feet moved like the wind. He moved like a ghost in the killing arrays, and his speed was as fast as lightning. One early-stage Transcendence Master after another was killed by him. Miserable screams rang out in the array. When Zhuowen killed the last early-stage Transcendence Master, there were only 20 Transcendence Masters left in the array. Most of them were mid-stage Transcendence Masters or above. Corpse Yinhuan and the other 3 late-stage Empyrean Lords narrowed their eyes as they stared at the figure bathed in the rain of blood from the Empyrean Lords. Their hearts couldn't help but tremble. Within the 3 peerless killing formations, they were ruthlessly suppressed. Although it was not to the extent of being unable to move an inch, their movements within the killing array were indeed greatly affected. They simply could not keep up with Zhuowen's pace and could only allow Zhuowen to slaughter to his heart's content. Whoosh! Zhuowen attacked once more. This time, his target was the leader of one of the major clans. He was a mid-Heavenspan Lord, and was much stronger than an early Heavenspan Lord. The Patriarch's expression changed slightly, but he still braced himself and charged forward, throwing a punch at Zhuowen. Zhuowen sneered. His right hand formed a palm and blasted out as well. The Patriarch spat out a mouthful of blood and crashed to the ground. Zhuowen stood in the air without moving. He condensed a snow-white light blade in his hand and threw it out. It pierced through the Patriarch's chest and nailed him to the ground, making him unable to move. He could only lie on the ground, deader than dead. Everyone, we can't fight on our own. We have to work together. Otherwise, we will be defeated one by this kid. Suddenly, the young-tongued Union, who was not far away, spoke. There were a total of 5 experts from the Sorcerer tribe. 4 of them were experts at the early stage of the sky-reaching Master Realm, but they had already been killed by Zhuowen. Now, there was only 1 expert at the middle stage of the sky-reaching Master Realm left. The young-tongued Union was terrified when he saw that many of his companions had been killed. He knew that he had to work together to take down this kid. Moreover, they were all trapped by the killing array, and their strength was suppressed too much. If they did not work together, they would all be finished. The young-tongued Union, you are jumping very high. Since you spoke first, I will attack you first. Zhuowen looked coldly at the young-tongued union. He stomped his right foot, and the space around him suddenly distorted. He disappeared from where he was and instantly appeared in front of the young-tongued union. He clenched his right hand into a fist, which emitted a jade-like light. Zhuowen raised the power of his Pangu sacred body to the extreme. It had to be said that after Zhuowen's Pangu sacred body was promoted, it had almost undergone a transformation. Its level of power had reached another level, which was very terrifying. The young-tongued union tried their best to resist this attack, but it was still useless. The young-tongued union's hands were broken, and his chest was penetrated. Blood spurted out, and it was very sad. Zhuowen's eyes were cold. He pressed his left hand on the young-tongued union's head, and his right hand tore fiercely. The young-tongued union's entire body collapsed and exploded into clouds of blood mist. He was completely dead. The moment the young-tongued union died, many experts trapped in the killing array were shocked. The young-tongued union was an expert of the sorcerer tribe with a powerful bloodline. His strength was stronger than an ordinary mid-heavenspan lord, but he was killed so easily. How terrifying was Long Wen's strength! Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Another 4 mid-heavenspan lords rushed over, wanting to kill Zhuowen. Zhuowen sneered, took out the Yama ghost picture, opened the second layer, and 4 evil spirits rushed out. Howl, 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 howl. The 4 evil spirits rushed out like crazy, blocking the 4 mid-heavenspan lords and suppressing them. Zhuowen's body was surrounded by a jade-like color. While the 4 evil spirits were entangled, he condensed 4 sky-splitting blades and threw them out, piercing through the 4 experts and reducing their combat strength. At the same time, Zhuowen strengthened the power of the 3 killing arrays. The surrounding killing intent became more and more terrifying, and the experts trapped in the arrays were even more difficult to move. The 4 mid-heavenspan lords were pierced through by the sky-splitting blades and lost most of their combat strength. In the end, they were torn to pieces and devoured by the 4 evil spirits. Long Wen, die for me. The veins on Sha'inzhou's forehead bulged. The 5 late heavenspan lords led by him channeled all their energy and rushed toward Zhuowen. Zhuowen didn't give them the chance. He was still wary of these 5 people. After all, they were all late heavenspan lords. Even if Zhuowen's Pangu sacred body had advanced to 8 stars and his strength had undergone a tremendous transformation, he could at most suppress a late heavenspan lord, but he was still far from being able to kill them. Now, there were 5 late heavenspan lords in front of him. Although they were suppressed by the killing arrays and couldn't use their full strength, they were still very difficult for Zhuowen to deal with when they joined forces. Therefore, Zhuowen planned to wait until the other powerhouses in the killing formation were annihilated before finally battling with these 5 people. Now is not the time to fight you. I'll let the 5 of you live a little longer. Zhuowen swept out like a loach, distancing himself from the 5. The 5 of them were helpless. They were suppressed too badly by the killing arrays, and their speed was far slower than Zhuowen's. Moreover, Zhuowen's speed was not slower than theirs. Under such circumstances, it would be strange if they could catch up with Zhuowen. Chapter 3376. The 5 clan leaders. When Zhuowen tore apart the last Tongtian master with his bare hands, he turned around and looked at the Corpsean swamp not far away. He grinned and said, "Now, it's your turn." At that moment, all the foreign race experts who were watching this scene were shocked. They looked at the figure bathed in the rain of blood of the Grandmaster Realm cultivators and the mountainous pile of corpses under his feet. Everyone felt incredulous. The mountain of corpses were not ordinary corpses. They were all Tongtian masters. And these Tongtian masters were all killed by one person. This world was too crazy. This kind of thing was happening right in front of their eyes. The Moon Wolf clan, Giant Turtle clan, and other clan leaders who did not participate in the encirclement were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. At the same time, they heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts. They were glad that they did not participate in the encirclement. Otherwise, they doubted whether they would have survived this battle. Long Wen is too scary. You are not to provoke him in the future, otherwise, you will bring disaster to our clan. The Moon Wolf clan leader, Taihe, said to Tu Qian and Qian Ping beside him. Tu Qian and Qian Ping were already stunned. They nodded subconsciously. Even without Yi Taiha's reminder, they did not dare to provoke Long Wen. Didn't they see how this guy had killed dozens of heavenly masters earlier on? Those were all existences at the level of the clan leaders of the various major races, and were much stronger than them. Not only the Moonwolf clan, but the clan leaders of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan, Giant Turtle clan, and other clans also quickly ordered their subordinates to remember Long Wen's appearance and not to provoke him in the future. Wu Wuxian was so angry that she clenched the scepter in her hand tightly. She stared at the scene that was happening in the three killing formations, especially when she saw Zhuowen crush the young Jiao master to death. She was fuming with anger. However, Wu Wuxian did not lose her composure. Instead, she began to deduce, trying to break the three killing formations. What made her vexed was that the combination of these three peerless killing formations was truly seamless. It was impossible for her to crack it in a short period of time. She was a little anxious in her heart. At the same time, she became more and more fearful of Long Wen. This fellow's level in the array Dao was actually so strong that he could actually set up such a terrifying chain-killing array. It was truly beyond her expectations. This is truly inconceivable. To think that Long Wen would be able to kill so many omnipotent beings single-handedly. Is that fella truly a genius from some small race? Not to mention the geniuses of the small races, even the geniuses of the large races, or even the geniuses of the super-large races like the 10 great races, are far from being able to do what Long Wen did. Mother ***, he killed so many omnipotent experts in a row. He's going to poke a hole in the sky. Many outsider experts in Sorcerer God City were dumbfounded. They looked at Zhuowen with awe and fear. At this moment, only the clan leader of the Corpse Gao clan, Shi Yinju, the clan leader of the Phoenix people, Feng Leluo, the clan leader of the Black Tiger clan, Hu Shuo, the clan leader of the Dragon clan, Zonglong, and the clan leader of the Merman clan, Yong Shi, were left inside the peerless killing formation. The 5 of them were all late-stage omnipotent beings. In the primitive celestial realm, they were all peerless experts who could look down on a region. Zhuowen glanced at Feng Leluo of the Phoenix people. What surprised him was that among the Phoenix people, only Feng Leluo had participated in the encirclement. However, Grand Elder Mu Yu and Third Elder An Yang were not among them. He had not even seen the 2 of them in Sorcerer God City. This made Zhuowen's expression turn ugly. Grand Elder Mu Yu and Third Elder An Yang were the culprits who knew about Mu Chenshue's whereabouts. He had to capture the 2 of them and interrogate them about Mu Chenshue's whereabouts. However, he did not expect that Grand Elder Mu Yu and Third Elder An Yang were not in Sorcerer God City. He had guessed that the 2 of them might have been sent back to the Phoenix people by Feng Leluo. After all, the Phoenix people had just been heavily injured by him. They were still in the ascendant and needed someone to organize and rebuild. Feng Leluo had placed all her attention on him. She wanted to scheme against him, so she stayed behind to deal with him. As for the Grand Elder and Third Elder, they were naturally sent back to their sect to clean up after him. The 4 of you, this kid must have a big secret. If we continue to let him stay, there will be endless trouble in the future. Corpse Yinmarsh's eyes were gloomy as he reminded the other 4 in a low voice. Brother Yinmarsh is right. This kid's progress is too fast. We have all offended him. With his personality, I'm afraid he will cause trouble for our clan. If we don't get rid of him now, it will be even more difficult in the future. We might even suffer a calamity. Everyone, if you have any trump cards, don't hide them. Take them out and take him down, Feng Leluo said. The other 3 nodded. They agreed with Corpse Yinmarsh and Feng Leluo. The dragon rune must be removed. Otherwise, it would be a great disaster for them. The 5 of them all took out their own natal divine artifacts. Corpse Yinmarsh's natal divine artifact was a crystal skull. There was a crack between the skull's eyebrows. A slender red crystal was embedded in the crack. It looked like a third eye. It was very strange. Feng Leluo took out a fan that burned with flames. The fan's blades were made of burning fire plume. It gave off a vast aura. The Dragon Clan's patriarch, Zonglong, revealed his half-dragon half-human form. A sharp golden armor that emitted golden light appeared on his body. It was dazzling and extraordinary. The Black Tiger clan's patriarch, Hu Shou, held a large saber in his hand. On the wide surface of the saber, there was a vivid tiger pattern. Moreover, the saber emitted a sound like a tiger roaring in the forest. It was very spiritual. As for the Merfolk clan's patriarch, Yongshi, his natal divine artifact was a huge hammer. However, there were various patterns on the hammer's surface. It had an extraordinary aura. The natal divine artifacts of the 5 of them were all extraordinary. They were all heaven-connecting divine artifacts. Furthermore, they were all extraordinary and extremely powerful. Zhuowen brought the 4 evil spirits with him. Looking at the 5 of them, his gaze became rather stern. "Go!" Corpse Yinmarsh roared furiously. He took a step forward and took out the crystal skull. A vast amount of yin qi surged over like a tide, enveloping Zhuowen. The moment Zhuowen came in contact with the yin qi, he actually felt dizzy. Many illusions appeared before his eyes. Shi Yang knew that the crystal skulls in the Corpse Yin swamp were designed to deal with the God Soul, because many phantoms of skulls had appeared in his God Soul space. They were eating the energy of his God Soul, trying to destroy it. The other 4 followed closely behind. They all took out their natal divine artifacts. However, the 4 evil spirits by Zhuowen's side received Zhuowen's orders. They charged out recklessly and blocked the 4 of them. However, the 4 evil spirits were only at the mid-heaven connecting divine artifact after all. Although Feng Leluo and the others had become much weaker due to the killing formation, they were still able to firmly suppress the 4 evil spirits. Most likely, it wouldn't be long before the 4 evil spirits were defeated or even killed. Haha. You've fallen into my illusions of infinite fear. Long Wen, I won't let you die so easily. Chapter 3377.1 Against Forbang. The moment Corpse Yinmarsh's right hand clawed at Zhuowen, his entire body trembled. He suddenly felt an ominous premonition that made him break out in cold sweat. Then, he looked up at Zhuowen. He saw that the dullness in Zhuowen's eyes had long disappeared and was replaced by a cold clarity. Moreover, a golden light suddenly shot out from between Zhuowen's eyebrows. The golden light took the shape of a sword and pierced through the air, instantly drilling into the depths of Corpse Yinmarsh's sea of consciousness. Ah! Corpse Yinmarsh screamed and covered his head with both hands. He quickly retreated. His divine soul had been turned upside down by the sword-shaped golden light, and he was in so much pain that he wished he was dead. The sword-shaped golden light was the divine soul sword essence that Zhuowen had just learned. It was extremely powerful. With his current strength, the divine soul sword essence was enough to cause great damage to an expert in the late stage of sky-reaching master. After all, he had absorbed the 3 venomous insects. Not only had he evolved his Pangu sacred body, but he had also perfected the Pangu banner in his divine soul. The Pangu banner had also fed back to his divine soul, causing Zhuowen's divine soul to undergo another transformation. The transformation of his divine soul naturally caused the divine soul sword essence that Zhuowen had learned to become even more terrifying and powerful. When Corpse Yinmarsh's divine soul was severely injured and he kept retreating, Zhuowen had already rushed out like lightning and arrived in front of Corpse Yinmarsh. He snatched the crystal skull and spiritual ring from Corpse Yinmarsh's hand and punched Corpse Yinmarsh's chest with his right fist. Corpse Yinmarsh was trying his best to resist the injury to his divine soul, so he had no time to resist Zhuowen's attack. He was hit hard and spat out a mouthful of blood. He fell from the sky like a withered butterfly and hit the ground hard. The moment Corpse Yinmarsh fell to the ground, Zhuowen condensed 5 sky-splitting blades and shot them out. 4 of the sky-splitting blades pierced Corpse Yinmarsh's limbs while the last one pierced Corpse Yinmarsh's forehead and exploded. Corpse Yinkai let out a blood-curdling scream as his head exploded. Just like that, he was killed. When Corpse Yinmarsh was killed, Feng Leluo, Hu Shou, Zonglong, and Yongshi had finished dealing with the 4 demons. They turned Yama Ghost Translation the translation. Translation, 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 translation. Translation Yinmarsh translation translation. When the four of them planned to chase after Long Wen again, they saw the scene of Corpse Yin Swamp being forcefully killed. They were all stunned and felt that it was too inconceivable. Translation U4. Zhuo Wen's entire body was sparkling and translucent, as if he was forged from pure jade. The aura that erupted from his body was extremely terrifying. It seemed as if it could tear apart this part of the world. After he finished saying those words, he took a step into the air, and brought forth a terrifying wave of air. He continued to rush toward Feng Leluo and the others. Corpse Yin Kai was the strongest of the five, a late-stage heavenly master. He was also the existence that Zhuowen feared the most. Therefore, he had used his soul and sword intent as his trump card from the very beginning. After all, he had only condensed 2 soul sword essences in his soul. Now that he had used one, if he wanted to condense another one, he would have to spend a lot of energy and effort. After dealing with the Corpse Yin Marsh, Zhuowen could finally let go of the knot in his heart. He was confident that he could fight against the 4 of them by himself. Arrogant. He actually wants to fight 1 against 4, like an egg striking a stone. Feng Leluo was the first to react. She knew that the 4 of them had to work together. Otherwise, it was impossible for them to be Long Wen's opponent. At the same time, Feng Leluo began to regret targeting Long Wen. He had even destroyed the Corpse Yin Swamp. His potential and strength were too terrifying. If he had not offended Long Wen, perhaps he would not have ended up like this. However, Feng Leluo also knew that he and Long Wen would not rest until one of them was dead. If Long Wen did not die, he would die. Thinking up to there, Feng Leluo suddenly summoned the flaming fan in her hand. Terrifying flames surged out, forming an enormous figure of a flaming phoenix that seemed to blot out the sky. The Merfolk patriarch, Yongshe, wielded a huge hammer. Violent lightning energy surged on the surface of the hammer. He quickly appeared 100 meters behind Zhuowen. With a swing of the hammer, lightning filled the air and splashed everywhere. It seemed to have turned into a terrifying lightning storm. At the same time that Feng Leluo and Yongshe used their natal god artifacts to attack Zhuowen from afar, the patriarch of the dragon clan, Zonglong, charged towards Zhuowen in his half-dragon half-human form. He was clad in golden armor that shone with golden light. He was like a god clad in golden armor that had descended. He planned to engage in a melee with Zhuowen. Bang! 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 The 2 of them instantly clashed. Terrifying auras burst out. In just a few breaths, they had exchanged dozens of blows. The resulting shockwaves broke through the surrounding space and broke the rules. Zhuowen let out a low roar and suddenly smashed a fist into Zonglong's chest. Zonglong let out a muffled groan and flew out. The defensive power of his golden armor was just too shocking. Zhuowen's punch had only injured him slightly. At this moment, Feng Leluo and Yongshe's attacks had already arrived before Zhuowen. The lightning storm and the flaming phoenix intertwined, forming a terrifying lightning and fire energy. The entire space was stirred up, tearing apart countless black holes. The moment Zhuowen saw the flaming phoenix and the lightning storm attacking from both sides, he summoned Xiao Hei from his great world. "Kid, why did you summon me?" Xiao Hei asked curiously as soon as she appeared. "I'm going to give you a good fortune. Go and absorb all the lightning and fire energy around here." Zhuowen used the profound creation mysterious light to resist the terrifying lightning and fire energy around him. He pointed at the surroundings and said to Xiao Hei, "F***CK. Kid, are you trying to trick me? Such a powerful lightning and fire energy is at least the full force attack of a master of heaven's late-stage expert. Why the hell are you asking me to absorb it?" Xiao Hei screamed. Zhuowen ignored Xiao Hei's screams and kicked him out. He had given this guy so many resources. This guy had already advanced to the master of heaven's late stage. He might have even reached the middle stage of the master of heaven's late stage. In addition, the Thunderfire sword was a divine weapon born from the lightning and fire. It had a natural restraint against the lightning and fire energy. The surrounding lightning and fire energy was not a problem for this guy at all. "Brat, you're a bastard. You're pushing me into a pit of fire," Xiao Hei cursed. However, after this guy rushed into the lightning and fire energy, his body was very honest. He began to absorb the lightning and fire energy crazily. Zhuowen silently looked at Xiao He absorbing the lightning and fire energy. After confirming that this guy was indeed fine, he waved his right hand and tore the lightning and fire energy barrier around him. Die, Long Wen. The moment Zhuowen tore the lightning and fire barrier apart and came out, a terrifying saber chi came straight at him and blasted his body. Zhuowen snorted coldly and suddenly threw a punch, colliding with Tiger Shaw's broadsword. Clang. The sound of metal clashing could be heard. Tiger Shaw looked at Zhuowen's fist in disbelief as it blocked his saber. Zhuowen's fist was not damaged at all. Instead, it was like a beautiful jade, crystal clear and flawless. His attack did not leave any mark on the fist at all. Chapter 3378. Death of Tiger Shaw. Tiger Shaw spat out blood and flew backward. The broadsword in his hand almost slipped out of his hand and was taken into Zhuowen's macro world. At this moment, Tiger Shaw was in great pain. Zhuowen's Pangu sacred body was a combination of 8 types of venomous insects. The power of 8 different attributes was wreaking havoc in his body, causing him great pain. He was barely able to suppress it. Feng Leluo and Yong Shu, who were standing not far away, looked gloomy. Their joint attack did not cause too much damage to Yi Futian. They were shocked and in a bad mood. However, the two of them were not discouraged. They continued to wave the divine weapons in their hands. The energy of thunder and fire poured out again and swept towards Zhuowen. Zhuowen did not want to play with the two of them. He had to kill one of them first. It was not a good thing to waste time with the 4 of them. Zhuowen's target was Tiger Killer. Tiger Shaw was the weakest among the 4 of them. His divine weapon was taken away and he had lost more than half of his combat power. He was the least threat to Yi Futian. Thinking of this, Zhuowen disappeared from where he was. Everywhere he passed, the space collapsed. He was heading straight for Tiger Shaw. Stay here. Zonglong's body was glowing with golden light. He stopped Zhuowen halfway and swung his huge dragon tail at Zhuowen. The wind was blowing and the light was boundless. Do you really think I can't cut off your dragon tail? Zhuowen's eyes were cold. At the same time, he used the profound meaning, death of heaven and earth, and the sky-splitting blade. A huge light blade was condensed in his hands. The surface of the light blade was filled with the destructive aura of death of heaven and earth, making the power of the light blade reach a terrifying level. Zhuowen slashed out fiercely. The saber chi was earth-shattering. Zonglong's huge dragon tail had just arrived in front of Zhuowen when it met the terrifying light blade. Puchi. Zonglong's huge dragon rune was cut off by the light blade. Golden blood spilled all over the sky like golden rain. Zonglong screamed. His dragon tail was cut off. His body, which was suspended in the air, lost its balance and immediately fell down. Zhuowen would not let Zonglong go. He threw the light blade with the destructive aura in his hand. The light blade was pointed at Zonglong's chest. Bang! What made Zhuowen's the fact that the death of heaven and earth was death of heaven and earth was the fact that the light blade with the death of heaven and earth could not penetrate Zonglong's golden armor. Zonglong's was. Translation. Translation. Zong's translation. Zhuowen had exerted the power of the 8-star Pangu sacred body to the extreme. Bearing the injuries caused by the full-strength attacks of the 2 masters at the late stage of the sky-reaching realm, Zhuowen rushed to Tiger Shaw. Tiger Shaw kept retreating until he reached the edge of the killing formation. While suppressing the injuries on his body, he also had to resist the killing energy of the killing formation around him. He was a little tired. Now that he saw Zhuowen coming, he naturally did not dare to face him alone. You can't escape. You will die here today. The corpse yin swamp will be your fate. Zhuowen's eyes were full of killing intent. He arrived in front of Tiger Shaw and punched him mercilessly. He used the power of the death of heaven and earth in this punch. The destructive aura hit Tiger Shaw in the face, making him fearful. Tiger Shaw circulated all the energy in his body and pushed out with both hands. He wanted to completely block Zhuowen's attack. Crack. Unfortunately, Tiger Shaw, who was seriously injured, was nothing in front of Zhuowen. His hands were crushed by Zhuowen's punch. Zhuowen's fist was like a rainbow that pierced through the sun. It penetrated Tiger Shaw's chest and exploded. Tiger Shaw's chest was separated. Long Wen, you're dead. Feng Leluo and Yongshe saw that Tiger Shaw was almost killed. They were enraged and attacked with all their strength again. The thunderstorm and the flaming phoenix intertwined again. This time, the attack was even more terrifying and shocking. The lightning and fire energy it produced formed terrifying whirlpools in the air one after another. They were distributed in every part of the space. Even the 3 chains of supreme killing formations in the surroundings were shaken by this terrifying energy. Zhuowen's face slightly changed. He suddenly grabbed the head of Tiger Shaw, who only had half of his body left, and threw him out. Ah! Tiger Shaw was miserably thrown into the terrifying thunderfire energy by Zhuowen. Tiger Shaw didn't last long before he was turned to dust by the terrifying thunderfire energy. Xiao Hei, come and help me block it. The moment Zhuowen threw Tiger Shaw, he waved his right sleeve and summoned Xiao Hei, who had just finished absorbing the thunderbolt and fire energy, back. He told Xiao Hei to throw him into the thunderbolt and fire energy that was about to descend. Damn it, kid, you're going to make me miserable today, aren't you? Xiao Hei kept cursing as he was thrown into the thunderbolt and fire energy by Zhuowen. He screamed again and again. Although Xiao Hei looked miserable, the thunderbolt and fire energy did not destroy him. On the contrary, the thunderbolt and fire sword became more tenacious under the burning of the thunderbolt and fire energy. Its aura also became more and more vast. There were faint signs of a breakthrough. Zhuowen knew that although this guy kept screaming, he must be feeling comfortable. To Xiao Hei, the thunderbolt and fire energy was nourishment, not a destructive factor. This guy had a cheap mouth. He wanted to be a whore but still wanted to make a monument to his chastity. After all, Xiao Hei's thunderbolt and fire sword needed powerful thunderbolt and fire energy to continuously evolve. Feng Leluo and Yongshe were both at the late stage of the sky-piercing realm. The thunderbolt and fire energy they released was of a very high level. To Xiao Hei, it was the best nourishment. It was very beneficial for its evolution. Zhuowen no longer paid attention to Xiao Hei, who was still screaming. The space under his feet distorted, and he disappeared from where he was, avoiding the thunderbolt and fire energy that was attacking him. He went straight for Feng Leluo and arrived in front of him in an instant. At that moment, Feng Leluo was controlling the flame fan, constantly urging the flames to attack Zhuowen. However, when he saw Zhuowen appear in front of him, it was as if he had seen a ghost, and he quickly retreated. Unfortunately, Zhuowen was much faster than him. His right hand shot out like lightning. Bang! Feng Leluo was a little panicked. He raised the flame fan, wanting to block Zhuowen's attack. Unfortunately, his strength was not much better than Hu Shao's. Under Zhuowen's attack, the flame fan was directly sent flying. His right hand turned into a long fist, and smashed into Feng Leluo's chest like a hot knife through butter. Poochie! Feng Leluo's chest was penetrated. Red blood splashed out, sprinkling in the sky, forming a red rain of blood. It was a miserable and clear scene. Feng Leluo screamed. He burned his essence blood and quickly retreated. Unfortunately, the 3 peerless killing formations at the edge blocked his retreat. He could not retreat at all, and could only retreat to the edge of the killing formations. Chapter 3379. Fear bang. 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 Feng Leluo seemed to have gone mad as he kept attacking the edge of the killing formation. However, he found that it was useless. His right fist was bleeding from the energy of the killing formation. A powerful killing aura invaded Feng Leluo's body, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. His body was bathed in blood, and he looked extremely miserable. Zhuowen's right foot was in the air as he swooped down proudly. He landed beside Feng Leluo, and his right hand was like lightning as he slammed his palm onto Feng Leluo's body. Poochie! Feng Leluo was in a very miserable state. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face was unbelievably pale. His waist arched as he was sent flying. He heavily smashed into the formation behind him, and his internal organs seemed to have been shattered. His body seemed to have been hollowed out as he fell to the ground. Zhuowen waved his right hand, and a powerful energy turned into a rope that tightly bound Feng Leluo. Then, he threw him into the great world. He did not immediately kill Feng Leluo. To him, Feng Leluo still had some value. It was too early to kill him now. Boom! The moment he trapped Feng Leluo, a terrifying gust of wind swept past him from behind. The gust of wind swept across the area. Zhuowen turned around and punched out. He saw that the gale behind him was actually the Dragon Clan's patriarch. Zonglong. Zonglong was wearing golden armor, and his right fist was like lightning. As the two fists collided, a terrifying shockwave burst forth. Powerful shockwaves swept out, and Zonglong let out a muffled groan as he was sent flying by Zhuowen once again, crashing heavily into the ground. Zhuowen looked at Zonglong's golden armor in surprise. He had to admit that Zonglong's golden armor was very unusual. The power of his 8-star Pangu sacred body could not directly injure Zonglong. Most of the power was absorbed and blocked by the golden armor. The moment Zonglong fell to the ground, he wanted to immediately jump up. However, Zhuowen was faster than him. He kicked Zonglong's chest and stomped him to the ground again. Zonglong roared and struggled. Unfortunately, under Zhuowen's powerful strength, all of his efforts were in vain. "I'll deal with you later. You don't have to rush to your death." After Zhuowen finished speaking, he stomped his right foot again, concentrating all his strength on his right foot. Poochie! Zonglong spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were wide open, as if they were going to pop out. His eyes were bloodshot, and the place where he was lying on the ground cracked open, creating a very deep pit. Of course, this pit was also a human-shaped pit. Zhuowen no longer paid any attention to the heavily injured Zonglong. He slowly lifted his gaze and looked at Yongshe, the leader of the merfolk race. At this moment, Yongshe held the thunder hammer in his hand and was fighting with the thunder fire sword. Xiao Hei wasn't satisfied after absorbing the lightning and fire energy. When she saw the thunder hammer in Yongshe's hand, her eyes lit up. Like a bolt of lightning, she pounced at Yongshe and engaged him in battle. Zhuowen was very surprised. Although Xiao Hei's strength was extraordinary, there was still a gap between him and Yongshe, who was in the late stage of the Master of Heaven Ascension. Why was this guy so eager to fight Yongshe? However, Zhuowen's face darkened when he heard Xiao Hei's next words. "Old man, your thunder hammer is not bad. If you don't mind, let me have a look." "Old man, what are you doing?" "I'm just borrowing it to have a look. It's not like I'm going to eat it." "Why are you so stingy?" "Ayo, you're really merciless. You actually electrocuted me, but I like it. Continue electrocuting me. It'd be best if you electrocuted me to death." When Zhuowen heard Xiao Hei's shameless words, he felt embarrassed. This guy really had no filter and dared to say anything. However, although Xiao Hei wasn't Yongshe's match, he happened to be able to restrain Yongshe's divine weapon. Although he was severely suppressed by Yongshe, it would still be difficult for Yongshe to get rid of Xiao Hei completely. On the contrary, every time Yongshe blasted out lightning energy, Xiao Hei would open his mouth and absorb it, turning it into his own energy. Bang! Xiao Hei was sent flying again, wailing like a ghost and howling like a wolf. Zhuowen rushed over and caught the thunder fire sword in his hand. "Kid, you're finally here. This hammer is really important to me. You must help me get it. I need to nourish my body." Xiao Hei hurriedly said. "You should go back to the outside world first. You'll get a share of the divine weapon this time," Zhuowen said indifferently. Xiao Hei revealed a look of joy and hurriedly said, "Then I'll leave it to you. I'll go in first." Zhuowen ignored Xiao Hei. Instead, he looked at Yongshe, whose eyes were filled with fear. He said indifferently, "Hand over the god artifact in your hand and cripple your own cultivation. That way, you still have a chance to live." Yongshe's eyes narrowed, but he laughed and said, "You want me to hand over the divine weapon and destroy my own cultivation? Long Wen, who do you think you are? Do you have the right to talk to me like this? It seems like I'm talking nonsense. In that case, I won't say anything more. Die. Zhuowen shook his head and stomped his right foot. His whole body was crystal clear, and his aura was like a dragon. Yongshi's eyes changed slightly, and the thunder hammer in his hand suddenly blasted out toward Zhuowen's face. Clusters of lightning fell like rain, and suddenly dispersed, enveloping Zhuowen in all directions and enveloping Zhuowen. But soon, Yongshi found that the countless thunderbolts from the thunder hammer dissipated the moment they came into contact with Zhuowen's body. They could not cause much damage to Zhuowen at all. Your body. How can it be so strong? Yongshi's eyes narrowed, and he roared. The huge hammer smashed hard on Zhuowen's face. Bang! Zhuowen attacked later than Yongshi. He punched out, and the powerful fist momentum burst out. The hammer wrapped in monstrous thunderbolts was directly smashed away. Yongshi's hands, which were holding the hammer, were directly shaken by the huge force. His huge body could not help but retreat. Boom! Zhuowen's right hand formed a fist, and he stepped in front of Yongshi. The fist momentum burst out with a muffled explosion, and it smashed between Yongshi's eyebrows. Yongshi raised his hands to block the attack. However, under the terrifying power of the Pangu sacred body, his defense was simply a joke. His arms were blasted into a bloody mist. The fist smashed between his eyebrows and directly blew up his head. Yongshi didn't even have the chance to groan before Zhuowen punched him to death. After Zhuowen slowly put away the thunder hammer, he turned to look at Zonglong, who was struggling to climb out of the pit. At this moment, the golden armor on the surface of Zonglong's body was dim, and the corner of his mouth was bleeding. His aura was very weak. He raised his head and saw the scene of Zhuowen killing Yongshi with one punch. His eyes were full of fear. Only now did he realize that Long Wen, who he was dealing with, was simply a monster. They had been besieged by so many experts of the sky-reaching realm, but not only had they not killed him, but they had also let him kill so many of them. In the end, he was the only one left, and he was in a half-dead state. As the patriarch of the Dragon Clan, Zonglong was the top expert of one of the top 10 clans in the untainted heavenly realm. He looked down on the world and all living beings. But now, Zonglong felt a deep chill, and the source of this chill was Long Wen. Chapter 3380. Get down. Lord Long Wen, I, Zonglong, am willing to surrender. Please spare my life. Please spare my life. Zonglong hurriedly knelt down and begged for mercy. Zhuowen slowly walked in front of Zonglong and looked at the golden armor on Zonglong's body. He didn't attack immediately. Instead, he asked curiously, "Take off your spirit ring and this golden armor. Then, break your own arms. If you do that, I will spare your life and not care about the Dragon Clan behind you." Zonglong let out a sigh of relief. Without hesitation, he took off his spirit ring and golden armor and handed them to Zhuowen respectfully. Zhuowen very naturally put Zonglong's spirit ring and golden armor into his great world. He also put away the 3 peerless killing formations around the inn and kicked Zonglong out. After being kicked out, Zonglong was not angry at all. He even cupped his hands and apologized to Zhuowen, then left with his face covered in dirt. Zhuowen no longer paid any attention to Zonglong. He pushed off the ground with his right foot and leaped onto the inn. He lifted his head and looked at High Priest Wu Wuxian, who was hovering in the air nearby. He said in an indifferent voice, "Wu Wuxian, get down here and die." It was a simple sentence, but at this moment, in this place, and in this person, it was extraordinary and solemn. Many of the foreign race experts were stunned. They stared blankly at the figure who had stepped on the bodies of dozens of divine master experts and leaped up to the top of the inn. They felt incredulous, terrified, and even a little excited. What a magnificent feat it was to kill so many legendary earthly divine masters all by himself. Such a thing had never happened in the primitive sky domain for countless years, but now, it was happening right in front of them. It was a guy named Long Wen who had acted it out right in front of them. In particular, the last sentence of Long Wen's speech to High Priest Wu Wuxian was like a fuse that completely shocked all the experts of the alien races. He had killed so many experts in the Sorcerer God City. Not only did he not escape, but he also provoked the high priest Wu Wuxian. He did not take the sorcerer tribe seriously at all. Long Wen, you are very bold. Not only did you kill people in the Sorcerer God City, but you also dare to provoke me and the dignity of the sorcerer tribe. Do you not take the sorcerer tribe seriously at all? You even want to kill me? Wu Wuxian said coldly. Old witch, I have not liked you for a long time. What you said before was all for your own selfish reasons. You want to catch me and steal my things. You don't even want your face. Why should I be polite with you? Zhuo Wen's eyes were cold and his words made Wu Wuxian so angry that his lungs were about to explode. What did you? You say I am an old witch. How dare you? Wu Wuxian roared. Wu. God, old witch, he said, if you, then get down here and die. Don't force me to step on you before you are willing to get down here. Zhuowen said rudely. All the foreign experts sucked in a breath of cold air. Long Wen really had guts. He had already broken the rules of Shaman God City by killing so many experts. Now, he was even shouting at Wu Wuxian. To be so arrogant in front of the sorcerer tribe's trump card was a slap to the sorcerer tribe's face. Many of the foreign race experts knew that Wu Wuxian's strength might not be comparable to Corpse Inch's, but with her powerful array skills, even a late-stage Heaven Ascension Realm expert might not be her match. Wu Wuxian's status was extremely noble. She was second only to the sorcerer tribe's holy leader. Many of the leaders of the large tribes had to be respectful to her. Now, not only was Long Wen not afraid of the sorcerer tribe, but he had also asked Wu Wuxian to get down here and die. Although Wu Wuxian was furious, she had not lost her mind. She knew very well that although she was strong, she was still a little weaker than Long Wen. Therefore, although she was angry, she did not dare to fight with Zhuowen. She secretly sent a message to the holy leader of the sorcerer tribe, Wu Shenya. After informing him of the situation, she retreated cautiously. Zhuowen watched as Wu Wuxian retreated. His right foot suddenly stepped into the void, and the air exploded. The power of time and space condensed under his feet, and as if he had teleported, he disappeared from where he stood. When he reappeared, he was already very close to Wu Wuxian. Zhuowen was no longer afraid. Since the sorcerer tribe had found trouble with him time and time again, they had joined forces with Corpse Yinkai and so many other experts to attack him and frame him for violating the rules of the Sorcerer God City. Zhuowen could not take this lying down. Although he was afraid of the green-furred mummy and the holy leader of the sorcerer tribe, he had the teleportation site token. If he wanted to leave, he could crush the token and teleport away. If he did not have such a trump card, Zhuowen would not have dared to stay and go against the sorcerer tribe. That would be courting death. But now, he was not afraid. He no longer had any worries. Naturally, he wanted to vent his anger. He wanted to let all the experts in the Sorcerer God City know that he, Zhuowen, was not someone who could be bullied easily. If anyone dared to bully him, they would have to be prepared to face his wrath. Damn it! Wu Wuxian cursed inwardly when he saw Zhuowen rushing over. He quickly retreated with an ugly expression on his face. Wu Wuxian, do you think you can escape? Zhuowen's cold laughter rang out. Before Wu Wuxian had retreated too far, he had already caught up to him. A fierce gust of wind swept out as his jade-like right arm shot out like a spear, aiming for Wu Wuxian's forehead. Bang! Layers of restrictions appeared a few inches in front of Wu Wuxian's forehead. Like an invisible wall, they blocked Zhuowen's attack. However, Wu Wuxian did not have it easy. The power of the punch was very strong. Although most of the force was absorbed by the restrictions, a small part of it still hit her forehead, causing a small amount of blood to appear between her eyebrows. Wu Wuxian kept retreating while Zhuowen revealed a look of surprise. Wu Wuxian's attainments in the formation Dao weren't weak at all. The moment he'd unleashed his attack, he'd discovered that Wu Wuxian's entire body was protected by powerful restrictions. This layer of restriction covered Wu Wuxian's body like an invisible armor. It helped her block most of the attack. You're courting death. Wu Wuxian was also enraged. She had been shocked by Zhuowen's battle results, so she felt like she had won without a fight. But now, Zhuowen's attack did not break her restriction defense. This made her feel a lot more at ease. She knew that she was just mentally burdened, causing her aura to weaken. Wu Wuxian calmed down and lashed out with the scepter in his hand. Suddenly, the surrounding space and time seemed to have frozen. The pressure around Zhuowen instantly became countless times more terrifying, making his limbs feel as if they were filled with lead. His movements became slow, as if he was moving in slow motion. Bang! Chapter 3381. Ownerless City. Bang! Zhuowen fell to the ground, creating a huge crater. Smoke and dust filled the air, obscuring one's vision. Wu Wuxian heaved a sigh of relief. She realized that she had overestimated Long Wen. Long Wen wasn't that powerful. Looks like he's about to run out of energy after fighting so many mighty figures, Wu Wuxian thought to herself. Wu Wuxian's thoughts were shared by many experts of other races. They also felt that Zhuowen had expended too much energy in the battle just now, which was why Wu Wuxian had easily pushed him back. Long Wen, do you think you're a match for me in your current state? Today, I'll kill you as a sacrifice to the many comrades who died. Wu Wuxian snorted coldly and landed not far from the pit. She waved her jade-like hand, summoning array flags one after another. She began to set up a peerless killing array around the pit. She intended to kill Zhuowen with this array. However, the moment she set up the embryonic form of the array, a terrifying force rose from beneath her feet. Wu Wuxian decisively threw away the array flags and kicked off the ground, intending to leave this place. Rumble. A palm suddenly shot out from the ground and grabbed Wu Wuxian's foot with extreme speed. Then, a person broke out of the ground. It was Zhuowen. Zhuowen gripped Wu Wuxian's jade-like foot tightly. His right hand suddenly exerted strength. His arm was translucent, and his strength was boundless. He ruthlessly threw Wu Wuxian onto the ground. Poochie. Wu Wuxian spat out a mouthful of blood, her face pale. She was shocked and angry. Long Wen, you're so cunning. You were just pretending. Zhuowen sneered and exerted more force with his right hand. Wu Wuxian was once again thrown to the ground, coughing up blood. If I didn't create some illusion for you, why would you take the initiative to fight me? Zhuowen sneered and threw Wu Wuxian to the ground with even more force. Wu Wuxian's body was covered with a powerful restrictive power. Although it helped her block most of the power, there was still a small amount of energy that directly hit her body, causing her to be seriously injured and constantly vomiting blood. Zhuowen frowned. The restrictive spells around Wu Wuxian were not weak and were difficult to deal with. If he wanted to break them, it would take a lot of effort. Thinking of this, Zhuowen stopped his swinging motion and grabbed Wu Wuxian's right palm, bursting with terrifying black flames. This was the undying shaman fire. Its burning power was terrifying. It was a combination of the undying birds and Zhurong's flames. The quality of its flames even surpassed the undying bird's flames. It could burn everything. Sure enough, as soon as the immortal wizard fire appeared, the restrictive power around Wu Wuxian was immediately burned violently and weakened. It began to show signs of collapse. What? What kind of flame is this? Wu Wuxian was terrified. She already understood that this Long Wen's strength was very terrifying. She was completely not his match. If this continued, she might die in the hands of this Long Wen. At the same time that Zhuowen released the immortal wizard fire, he also used the Hongmeng Wuji Ultimacy. The Hongmeng Wuji Ultimacy was a spell that specialized in breaking restrictive spells. Coupled with Zhuowen's array skills, the restrictive power on Wu Wuxian's surface was being broken faster and faster. Wu Wuxian's face was pale and fear rose in her heart. She was very clear that in less than 15 minutes, the restrictive power on her body would be completely broken. At that time, it would be the time of her death. Long Wen, I am the high priest of the sorcerer race. Our holy lord of the sorcerer race is about to come out. Do you dare to kill me? Wu Wuxian mentioned the holy lord of the sorcerer race, hoping to make Zhuowen afraid. Zhuowen's eyes were cold as he said indifferently, if Wu Shinya comes out, that's good. I will kill him and make Sorcerer God City a city without a master. When these disgraceful words came out, the countless foreign race experts in the surroundings were in an uproar. They all discussed spiritedly, thinking that Long Wen was simply a fearless madman. Wu Wuxian also revealed a look of despair. Only now did she realize how crazy Long Wen was. He was not even afraid of Wu Xinya and had even said that he would kill Wu Xinya. He was simply too audacious. How audacious! You actually want to make Sorcerer God City a city without a master. You are the first person in countless years who dares to say such word. Just as Zhuowen was breaking the restrictive spells on Wu Wuxian's body, a gloomy and majestic voice came from the inner city of Sorcerer God City. The burly holy lord of the sorcerer race, Wu Wuxian, was wearing a purple robe. He slowly walked through the void, step by step. Beside the holy lord of the sorcerer race, Wu Xinya, was a figure wrapped in a black robe. His face could not be seen clearly. Heavens, it's the holy lord. I never thought that even a top expert like the holy lord would be alarmed. Nonsense, this Long Wen has killed so many experts in Sorcerer God City. If the holy lord does not appear, it will be very difficult to resolve this matter. When they saw the purple-robed holy lord of the sorcerer race, Wu Xinya, slowly walking over, all the foreign race experts in Sorcerer God City revealed expressions of fear and respect. The holy lord of the sorcerer race was publicly acknowledged as the strongest expert in the sorcerer race. His cultivation had reached the peak of the sky-piercing realm. Other than those old monsters who had lived in seclusion, who else could fight with Wu Xinya? As for the black-robed man beside Wu Xinya, everyone subconsciously ignored him. They only paid attention to the radiant Wu Xinya. Zhuowen glanced at Wu Xinya, then his gaze fell on the black-robed man beside Wu Xinya. His gaze was filled with fear. He felt the aura of the green-furred corpse and did not think that the black-robed man was Green Hat. You are called Long Wen, right? You are a genius. Your strength and talent are both excellent. If you let go of the high priest, I will not take your life. I will be lenient with you. As Wu Xinya walked, he looked at Zhuowen with arrogance. Wu Xinya was very confident. He believed that if he appeared, Long Wen would be respectful and would not dare to offend him. At the same time, Wu Xinya's heart was filled with anger. This anger was not because Zhuowen had killed so many experts in Sorcerer God City, but because the 3 corpses in the ancestral Sorcerer Wonderland had disappeared. He was furious. He guessed that the 3 corpses were most likely with Long Wen. He would not kill Long Wen, but he would imprison him in the sorcerer race's prison for eternity. He would torture him in different ways and make him suffer so much that he would not want to die. Wu Xinya's calm expression was only to calm Long Wen down. After all, Wu Wuxian was still in Long Wen's hands. If that was not the case, he would have killed Long Wen with a palm strike. Zhuowen sneered, as if he did not hear Wu Xinya's words. He continued to use the immortal sorcerer fire to break the restrictions on Wu Wuxian's body. The restrictions on Wu Wuxian's body continued to collapse and eventually disappeared. No, Wu Wuxian's eyes widened as his body was burned by the immortal sorcerer fire. He let out a miserable shriek. You are courting death. Wu Xinya's pupils shrank when he saw Wu Wuxian screaming miserably as he was burned by the undying shaman fire. His previous calm demeanor was long gone. He was both shocked and furious. He suddenly increased his speed and rushed towards Zhuowen. Zhuowen grabbed Wu Wuxian's neck with one hand and quickly retreated. The immortal sorcerer fire started to burn from Wu Wuxian's feet and quickly spread to his body. Wu Wuxian's pupils dilated as he screamed. He watched as his feet turned into ashes, then his body and hands. Chapter 3382. Divine arrows fired with his divine ability. As long as Wu Wuxian's divine soul was not destroyed and only her head was left, he could still save her. Zhuowen sneered and threw Wu Wuxian's head to the back with all his might. No, Wu Xinya roared and chased after Wu Wuxian's head with all his might. When Wu Xinya caught up to Wu Wuxian's head, the undying witch fire completely engulfed Wu Wuxian's head. Wu Wuxian's screams came to an abrupt end. Her head was completely burned, and even her divine soul was destroyed. The instant Wu Wuxian's body was destroyed, Witch God City became abnormally quiet, so quiet that it was somewhat strange. All the foreign race experts were silent. They silently watched all of this with expressions of shock and disbelief. They were moved by Zhuowen's boldness. This kid dared to kill the second strongest person of the witch race, Wu Wuxian, in front of the holy lord of the witch race. There was no room for discussion. He was too strong and too arrogant. I, Long Wen, am a man of my word. I said that if you stop me, I will kill you and make Witch God City a masterless city. I, Long Wen, will naturally do my best. Zhuowen's following words caused all the foreign race experts in Witch God City to feel dizzy. This guy was actually spouting nonsense again. Did he really think that Wu Shenya was Wu Wuxian or Corpse Inchuan? Wu Shenya was a peak expert of the sky-piercing realm. He stood at the peak of this heaven domain. This guy was about to die, but he still dared to speak so arrogantly. Of course, this was what most of the foreign race experts thought. However, the black-robed Green Hat did not think so. Green Hat floated on the other side, sizing up Zhuowen. He laughed sinisterly. This kid has really matured. His strength has increased by so much. What a terrifying speed of improvement. After saying this, Zhuowen took out the Huyi Divine Bow and Huyi Divine Arrow from the outside world. He knocked the Huyi Divine Arrow on the bowstring and pulled the bowstring to a full moon. Instantly, a terrifying killing intent flooded the sky above Sorcerer God City. His Pangu sacred body had evolved again, and his strength had increased tremendously. He was now able to pull the string of Huyi Divine Bow to its limit and give full play to the power of Huyi Divine Arrows. When everyone felt the terrifying killing intent, their pupils shrank to the size of needles as fear filled their hearts. Some of the weaker foreign races even knelt on the ground with a plop, because they couldn't withstand such a terrifying killing intent. Wu Shinya also felt this terrifying murderous aura. He turned around and looked at Zhuowen, who was drawing his bow. The anger in his eyes became even more intense. No wonder you dared to be so arrogant in front of me. So it turns out that you have trump cards like the Huyi Divine Bow and Huyi Divine Arrow. However, do you think this kind of divine artifact can hurt me? That's just wishful thinking. Wu Shinya sneered as he rushed towards Zhuowen with a terrifying aura. He wanted to tear apart this kid's body with his own hands and grab his soul. He wanted to make him suffer inhumane torture for eternity to vent the hatred in his heart. Bang! Zhuowen shot out the first Huyi Divine Arrow without any hesitation. The divine arrow tore through the sky and exploded with a dazzling bloody light. The energy waves formed a huge mushroom cloud in the sky. It was very terrifying. Wu Shinya roared as he punched out. His muscles swelled and his blood energy soared into the sky, forming a huge blood pillar. What made Zhuowen's eyes narrow was that Wu Shinya had actually sent the Huyi Divine Arrow flying with a single punch. Moreover, he only retreated a few dozen steps before stabilizing himself. As expected of the sorcerer race's holy lord, Wu Shinya's sorcerer body has already reached 9 stars. Combined with his cultivation, he can actually take on the Huyi Divine Arrow head-on. It's truly inconceivable. Moon Wolf race's patriarch, Yi Taihe, commented in fear. Not only Yi Taihe, the other foreign race experts were also shocked by Wu Shinya's move. Zhuowen was also shocked. Wu Shinya's physical body was terrifyingly strong. He had actually sent the Huyi Divine Arrow flying with a single punch. Wu Shinya took a deep breath as he forcefully suppressed the surging blood energy in his body. Even though he had only retreated a few dozen steps, he had actually suffered some light injuries from the previous attack. However, he had forcefully suppressed his injuries. He was very angry now and wanted to crush this hateful Long when in front of him with an overwhelming force. In his opinion, this kid only had one Huyi Divine Arrow at most. After sending one flying, this kid had no other trump cards left. It would be very easy for him to take down this kid. Long Wen, do you only have these little tricks? In front of me, these are all trash. Today, just obediently send yourself to death. Wu Shinya attacked again. His speed was extremely fast and he exploded in the sky with a terrifying sound. Wherever he passed, Space would distort and collapse. It was a terrifying aura. At this moment, Zhuowen revealed a trace of a smile on his face. Behind him, a pair of huge illusory eyes appeared. The moment he shot the Huyi divine arrow, he had used the torch dragon's eyes. The torch dragon's eyes could see through all illusions. Just now, when Wu Shinya had taken the Huyi divine arrow head-on, he had sensed through the torch dragon's eyes that Wu Shinya had suffered some light injuries. "Are you looking down on me? You will be in big trouble." Zhuowen sneered. He took out another Huyi godly arrow, pulled the bowstring to a full moon, and released the bowstring. With a bang, the Huyi godly arrow shot out again, aiming straight for Wu Shenya's vital point. With the torch dragon's eyes, Zhuowen's combination with the Huyi divine arrow was simply flawless. He could instantly determine the opponent's weak points and shoot out a fatal blow. Wu Shenya's pupils shrank. He didn't expect Zhuowen to have Huyi divine arrows. He let out a low roar and punched out, knocking away the second Huyi divine arrow. On the other hand, Wu Shinya was forced back 30 to 40 steps. His breathing became ragged. Zhuowen naturally wouldn't give Wu Shinya a chance to rest. He took out the third and fourth Huyi divine arrow and shot it out. Bang! Wu Shinya roared. He didn't dare to take it head-on with his physical body anymore. He took out his divine artifact. Wu Shenya's divine artifact was a long saber. The saber's surface was covered with strange and dense patterns. It was filled with an ancient aura. Wu Shenya raised the saber and blocked the two Huyi divine arrows. However, as he blocked the arrows, he continued to retreat. He had underestimated his opponent too much and had already suffered some injuries. Now, blocking the two Huyi divine arrows aggravated his injuries. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The moment Wu Shenya blocked the two Huyi divine arrows, Zhuowen shot out 3 Huyi divine arrows. The 3 arrows tore through the air and drew 3 beautiful arcs in the air before landing in front of Wu Shenya. Damn it, how does this guy have so many Huyi divine arrows? Chapter 3383. Statue of the 12 ancestral shamans. Wu Shenya's face was as pale as snow and his body was trembling. The 7 Huyi godly arrows that were pulled into a full moon were too terrifying. Wu Shenya was already exhausted. Especially the 3 Huyi godly arrows in front of him. They were like sticky candy that landed on the surface of his saber. A terrifying killing intent invaded his body, causing his injuries to worsen. An even more terrifying and vast energy surged into the surface of Wu Shenya's saber like a flood. Wu Shenya let out muffled groans as he continuously retreated. His hands that were holding the saber began to tremble violently. Bang! After retreating several hundred steps, Wu Shenya suddenly stomped his foot in the air. A terrifying shockwave created a terrifying storm around him. Wu Shenya gasped for breath. He raised his head and fiercely looked at Long Wen in the distance. He roared, "Long Wen, let's see if you still have any more Huyi godly arrows. This should be the last 3. Wait until I regroup, I'll make you wish you were dead." When Wu Shenya's gaze finally landed on Zhuowen, his vicious words came to an abrupt end. Hovering in the air, Long Wen was still holding the Huyi godly bow in his left hand, while his right hand was holding another Huyi godly arrow. He had already pulled the bowstring of the Huyi godly bow to a full moon. How is this possible? This guy still has. Wu Shenya felt incredulous. The veins on his hands bulged as he barely managed to knock away the 3 Huyi godly arrows and quickly retreated. Bang! When Wu Shenya was barely able to knock away the 3 Huyi divine arrows, Zhuowen had already released the bowstring. A thunderous boom resounded through the sky and instantly arrived in front of Wu Shenya. Wu Shenya's pupils shrunk. At this moment, he had just sent the 3 Huyi divine arrows flying. In addition, his body was already heavily injured. At this moment, his body had already revealed a large opening. He simply did not have the time to block this sky-piercing divine arrow. Poochie. The arrow pierced through the sky. Wu Shenya did not have any extra strength to block it. He could only watch as the arrow pierced through his chest. Blood blossomed like a flower and scattered across the sky. Wu Shenye spat out a mouthful of blood. He was in a very sorry state. His body was unstable as he fell to the ground. All the non-human experts in Sorcerer God City were dumbfounded when they saw this. Wu Shenye came with an overbearing aura. He was incomparably arrogant, as if he could kill anyone he wanted. Everyone also thought that Wu Shenye would be able to easily take down Long Wen. However, the scene before them caused everyone's jaws to drop. Not only was Wu Shenye unable to suppress Long Wen, he was instead riddled with wounds by Long Wen. He was in an extremely sorry state, and this was out of everyone's expectations. Old Dog Wu, you came here aggressively and threatened to take my life. What was going on now? They couldn't even withstand a single blow. You're a disgrace to the Holy Lord of the Sorcerer tribe. Zhuowen sneered as space-time energy spread out from his feet. He disappeared into thin air and reappeared in front of Wu Shenye. Rumble. Zhuowen unleashed all the energy of the 8-star middle stage Pangu sacred body. His body became crystal clear, emitting a white light, as if it was made of the most exquisite jade. Then, he punched out with a terrifying thunderous sound. Hearing Zhuowen's insults, Wu Shenye was so angry that he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. However, his expression quickly changed as he felt a strong sense of threat from Zhuowen's fist. Wu Shenye roared as he unleashed the power of the 9th star wizard body. He ignored the injuries on his body and punched out as well. Bang! 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 In an instant, the two of them clashed. Terrifying fist auras swept out like hurricanes, looking extremely terrifying. Moreover, the two of them were fighting with their physical bodies. They seemed to be evenly matched. Wu Shenye's pupils shrank. The more he fought, the more shocked he became. He felt that this was inconceivable. He had a trace of the wizard ancestor's bloodline in his body, which allowed him to cultivate the wizard body at an extremely fast speed. He was the only peerless expert in the wizard tribe who had reached the 9th star wizard body. His physical body was so powerful that other tribes could not compare to him. However, Long Wen was fighting him with his physical body. Moreover, Long Wen was not weaker than him and was even suppressing him. Wu Shenye did not know why, but he felt that his bloodline was boiling with fear as he fought with Long Wen. It was as if his bloodline was being suppressed by Long Wen's bloodline. Wu Shenye felt that this was inconceivable. He wondered what kind of bloodline Long Wen had. Even his wizard ancestor's bloodline was being suppressed. This did not make sense. Zhuowen's gaze was cold as he was surprised. This was because when he fought with Wu Shenye, he felt a trace of familiarity from Wu Shenye's bloodline. It was the aura of the wizard ancestor. He knew that Wu Shenye should have a trace of the wizard ancestor's bloodline. No wonder his physical body was so powerful. It was because of the wizard ancestor's bloodline. Although Wu Shenye's wizard body was much higher than Zhuowen's, Zhuowen had the Pangu sacred body, which was much higher than the wizard ancestor's bloodline. Even if his level was lower than Wu Shenye's, he could still suppress Wu Shenye. Moreover, Wu Shenye was heavily injured by Zhuowen's divine arrow. In a physical fight, he was even less of a match for Zhuowen. Rumble. Zhuowen dodged Wu Shenye's fist. Through the torch dragon's eye, he saw through Wu Shenye's weak point. His fist tore through the air and instantly landed on Wu Shenye's weak point. It broke through Wu Shenye's defense and smashed into his abdomen. Wu Shenye groaned. His waist arched as he fell from the sky and smashed into the ground. Wu Shenye's body was covered in blood. His hair was disheveled and his face was dirty. He looked very miserable. All the foreign race experts in the wizard god city sucked in a breath of cold air. At this moment, their view of Zhuowen had completely changed. This guy was too abnormal. Wu Shenye had personally made a move, but not only was he unable to take him down, he was even beaten up miserably. This was the holy lord of the wizard race, not some random dog or cat. Long Wen, I want you to die. Wu Shenye felt humiliated. He roared. In front of so many people, in his own territory, Wu Shenye was beaten to such a state by a nameless outsider. It was too miserable. Wu Shenye was not willing to give up. He bit his fingertip and drew a complicated pattern on his palm. Then, he smashed it into the air. The blood-colored runes left his palm and shot out towards the inner city, landing on the 12 ancestral shaman statues in the guarded ground. Rumble. Rumble. Suddenly, the 12 ancestral shaman statues that had been motionless suddenly moved. They gave off ancient and extremely powerful auras. The 12 wizard statues leaped into the air. When they landed on the ground, they were already around Wu Shinya. They faced Zhuowen and let out earth-shaking roars. Damn, this is the true 12 divine fiendish formation that the sage of the wizard race set up in the guarded ground. It's the foundation of the wizard race. It's said that this formation surpasses most heaven passage great formations. It's a true heaven passage great formation. When the 12 ancestral witch statues surrounded Wu Shinya, all the foreign race experts in Wu Shinya subconsciously retreated. They looked at this scene with apprehension. The 12 divine fiendish formation of the wizard race was famous throughout the eldritch heaven domain. It was extremely powerful and was set up by the wizard race's top experts. It had never been used for countless years. Chapter 3384. Torn right arm. But now, the 12 Overseers' Divine Wraith formation, which had never been activated before, was not only activated, but it was also activated because of a small clan's genius. This contrast made many experts feel strange. But at the same time, Sorcerer God City was filled with fear and reverence for Zhuowen. The fact that this kid could force Sorcerer God YA into such a state was truly terrifying. In the future, if any of you are blind enough to provoke Long Wen, he won't need to do anything. I'll personally kill you. The Moon Wolf clan's patriarch, Itai's expression changed greatly. He cautiously warned the Moon Wolf clan's juniors, especially Tu Qian and Qian Ping. Long Wen's strength was beyond his expectations. When he saw the scene just now, his legs trembled. It was too terrifying. Was this guy even human? The Spacetime Beast clan, Giant Turtle clan, and many other clans' patriarchs also warned them not to provoke Long Wen. If they did, they would personally kill them in the name of righteousness. Hehe, interesting. He was wearing a black robe and a green hat. He looked very relaxed as he leaned against the inner city's wall, watching the battle before him and laughing. So, this is the true 12 Overseers' Divine Wraith formation. Zhuowen looked at the 12 ancestral shaman statues in astonishment. The terrifying aura they emitted made Zhuowen's expression change. Zhuowen had set up the 12 Overseers' Divine Wraith formation before. He did not know that the 12 ancestral shaman phantoms that appeared in the 12 Overseers' Divine Wraith formation were not real. They were just phantoms formed by the formation's energy. Zhuowen was very surprised at that time. The 12 Overseers' Divine Wraith formation was an extremely famous heaven-piercing killing formation. Its power was definitely not ordinary. However, when he set up the 12 Overseers' Divine Wraith formation, its power could only be considered an ordinary heaven-piercing killing formation. He was puzzled at that time. But now, he finally knew the reason. Moreover, Sorcerer God YA used the 12 Overseers' Divine Wraith formation to deal with him. Zhuowen also laughed. He had the Pangu sacred body bloodline, which was of a higher grade than the 12 ancestral shamans. These 12 ancestral shaman statues contained a small portion of the ancestral shaman's blood essence, which was the source of their energy. If he were to use these 12 statues to deal with other pinnacle sky-reaching masters, it might really be difficult to deal with them, and he might even be able to suppress them. However, it would be a joke if they came to deal with Zhuowen, who had the bloodline of the Pangu sacred body. Long Wen, die. Wu Shinya sat cross-legged on the ground and swallowed a healing pill. He began to heal his injuries. His eyes were gloomy as he stared at Long Wen in the distance with a smug smile. He knew very well how powerful the 12 ancestral sorcerer statues were. Even if he were to face them, he would probably be severely injured. Long Wen would definitely be in a miserable state. Besides, Wu Shinya truly didn't want to admit defeat. He underestimated his enemy too much at the beginning, which allowed Zhuowen to severely injure him with his divine arrows. That was why he was suppressed by Zhuowen in the following battles. If he were to fight Long Wen at his peak, Wu Shinya believed that he would definitely be able to destroy Long Wen. Me. When I've mostly recovered, Long Wen, just wait for your death. Oh, no, you don't have the chance anymore. The 12 statues will completely destroy you, and you'll die without a burial place. Wu Shinya sneered again and again. While healing his injuries, he looked at how the 12 statues would kill Long Wen. However, when he looked in Long Wen's direction, he was completely dumbfounded. The scene of the 12 ancestral witch statues attacking Long Wen together and causing Long Wen to run for his life did not appear in his mind. Instead, what he saw was the 12 statues surrounding Long Wen, kneeling on one knee on the ground, showing their submission. What the hell, what's going on? Wu Shinya almost stomped his feet as he looked at this scene in disbelief. How could the statues of the 12 ancestral sorcerers submit to an outsider? Even his divine will did not work. Zhuoan stood in the center of the 12 statues and looked straight at the shocked Wu Shinya. He smiled faintly and said, "Wu Shinya, you're dead." As soon as Zhuoan finished speaking, the 12 ancestral sorcerer statues suddenly stood up and strode towards Wu Shinya. Boom, boom, boom. The 12 statues were too big. When they stood up, they seemed to be able to support the heavens and earth. When they stepped on the ground, it was as if the heavens and earth were collapsing. It was a terrifying sight. When Wu Shinya saw that the 12 statues obeyed Zhuoan's orders and started to attack him, his expression changed and he quickly retreated. Unfortunately, the moment Wu Shinya retreated, a powerful array ripple appeared behind him. It formed a powerful force that prevented Wu Shinya from retreating. Trap array? When did you set it up behind me? Wu Shinya's pupils shrank as he looked at Zhuoan. He saw the crafty smile on Zhuoan's face and knew that this trap array was set up by Zhuoan. This kid was able to set up a trap array without anyone noticing. It could be seen that his array Dao skills were not weaker than High Priest Wu Wuxian. He might even be stronger. The combination of powerful strength and superb array Dao skills made even Wu Shinya's scalp go numb. He suddenly punched out, shattering the trap array behind him. The trap array's level was not high. It could only stop him for a breath's time. However, one breath of time was enough. The 12 ancestral shaman statues instantly surrounded Wu Shenye. 12 fierce attacks also came at the same time, enveloping Wu Shenye from all directions. Wu Shenya's expression changed. He stomped his right foot and his entire body spun like a whirlwind, blocking the 12 fierce attacks. The 12 ancestral shaman statues were pushed back several steps. On the other hand, Wu Shinya was not in a good condition. The attack just now had worsened the injuries on his body, making it even more serious. Boom, boom, boom. After the 12 statues stabilized themselves, they continued to attack. They were like machines that did not know fatigue. Each wave of attacks was fiercer and fiercer than the previous one. They did not stop at all, causing Wu Shinya to be in a sorry state. Wu Shinya's injuries became more and more serious. Blood splattered everywhere and formed small streams on the ground. Poochie. Wu Shinya spat out a mouthful of blood as he was forced back by the 12 statues. However, he did not have time to rest. The moment he retreated, another statue's attack landed behind him. Wu Shinya had no choice but to turn around to block the attack. Ah! Long Wen, you and I cannot live under the same sky. Suddenly, Wu Shinya let out a miserable cry. His right arm was torn off. All the foreign race experts in Wu Shinya City saw a figure standing on the shoulder of one of the statues. The figure held Wu Shinya's torn right arm with a cold gaze. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.